You go.
And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 37th episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm your host, Maddie Allen. This is my 105th week of streaming every Tuesday and Thursday night here with ChrispyMan of Hexfire.io. And we got a great show for you tonight. I'm going to be unboxing the blue version of a Red Bull, and you'll get to see my reaction to that. But much more importantly, the cryptocurrency world in shambles if you only play with centralized exchanges that have been crumbling left and right. FTX, of course, is continuing to have lots of shenanigans and making news this week. We are going to get into, I think, part of the cutting edge part of this story and try to analyze what is going on with the Grayscale Ethereum that seems to be on a giant discount, even as the rest of the crypto space went up today. The discount there widened. So trying to understand where we're at in the crypto bear market. And of course, I think we'll have a lot of interesting information to share with people about HEX and Pulse Chain and Pulse Hex as usual.
Yeah. Hey, do you understand what the hell's happening with GBTC? I mean,
A little bit. I've been reading about it a little bit today.
maybe you can help me because, like, I get that they buy Bitcoin, they put it into their accounts, and then they basically sell shares, right?
Yes.
And so I was a GBTC holder years ago, right?
Me
And
too.
so, but not like one of the tranche guys, but just like on the market, right? And so I knew that if I bought more, price goes up, and if I sell, price goes down. So people are selling down GBTC for the price to go down, right? So doesn't that mean there's like a huge opportunity because you're basically getting Bitcoin on the books for less price? I mean, isn't
Yeah, so it's probably hard to say when there's not clear proof of holdings. So Grayscale, that I guess it was started by the Winklevi twins, but then now the majority owner or holder is DCG, Digital Currency Group, and so DCG is the one that has this arm, this other company that is now, what's that one called? Basically, it's gone $1 billion insolvent because of the FTX calamity. And so let me see. I think I've got it in a tweet draft that I have here. Yeah. So it's so Grayscale is basically Grayscale is a pretty good business because they charge a 2% fee for holding on to the crypto every year. And they've got about $14 billion of assets under management. And presumably one would think that if you say that you have assets under management in crypto, that you would actually have the crypto and that you'd be able to prove it and you'd be able to show people the public addresses. Well, DCG, Digital Currency Group, which is that's like the biggest behemoth in the crypto space. It's run by Barry Silbert. They have arms into pretty much into just about every crypto product you can think of. Exchanges, tokens, NFTs, they're in everything. But basically, they are the ones that have the Ethereum E is what it's called. It should be called GETH, but it's not because that's the name of Geth, which is the programming language. But so GBTC and ETHE are two of about 12 or 14 different crypto assets that they've done this with, where they've created trusts. And so the trust actually holds their crypto with Coinbase custody. And so Coinbase did release a letter in the past maybe a week and a half saying, yeah, we've got this much. We don't loan it out. That's a big deal because that's how FTX got in trouble. They were loaning out the crypto to earn APY off of it. And so the real question here, because Digital Currency Group has this sister organization to Grayscale called Genesis, and Genesis lost $1 billion investing in things that FTX said that they had but really didn't. And so if Genesis was doing such a bad job, some people would say, well, maybe a court could order Grayscale to liquidate itself to make up the difference.
Okay, sure.
Really what you need to happen is you need a buyer to come in with $1 billion if it's going to come to that, so that Grayscale doesn't default. And I think it's regulated enough that that's what would happen. And so if Richard Hart wants to buy Grayscale from Digital Currency Group for $1 billion in cash, then my question would be like, and that's to basically so that Genesis doesn't have to rug ETH even more by liquidating their ETHE holdings at a strong discount. That would be like the ultimate coup de grace, the ultimate position to launch an Ethereum fork from, if you save all the Ethereans from their own bad choices and save their little trust. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I bought about $1,400 of ETHE today. I don't know if that's a good deal or not. I just had some money that was trapped basically in a Roth IRA or something, and I'd forgotten about it. And so when I went back to look at it today, I noticed the ETHE was at a 45% discount, and that puts so basically each share of ETHE, which trades at about $6.50, that earns you about almost 1% of an ETH. But then what I did is later I found an article that was written only a couple of years, 2-3 years ago, and it was saying that ETHE was trading at a 1,000% premium. Tobiwan.
Yes, hello.
Great to see you.
I have a question. Good to see you guys. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties. Good to see you. Hey, Crispy, your camera looks way better today, bro. I don't know if you got something lighting.
New camera.
New camera.
Yeah,
you some devil. Looks so
Yeah,
much
I
better.
don't-
I was
I
felt
don't
like you
know.
lived in a cave or something. You just
I like
always
that
so
though.
dark.
I like being in a cave.
Oh, I'm a cave dweller myself, but
Yeah,
good lighting makes us feel like more handsome.
Yeah,
cave
this
dwellers.
stuff is stupid expensive though,
Yeah. Well, I don't feel it as much because I bought all of my shit back during the bull, and then it just sat in boxes until 3 weeks ago. So it's kind of like found money, So
Nice.
But hey, I'm the reason I had my hand up was maybe I'm just a moron, and it'll be like, oh yeah, I know what that is. What's ETHE?
It's like GBTC except with ETH. It's the Grayscale trust ticker.
Okay, interesting. I'd never really heard anybody talk about that before. Because I know, when I was looking at setting up through Rocket Dollar, I was doing my own self-directed Roth IRA, and I was able to find out that you can use HEX and keep your stakes, and you have to have liquid and put it into the LLC, and then buy HEX and stake it there. You can't move an active stake. But prior to that, my attorney and estate planner had pointed me toward some crypto options, and one of them was Grayscale. And they had a very limited group of cryptos that you could utilize, and I just didn't realize that ETH was called ETHE in that thing. But I'd seen it, and it was frustrating because it's like, if I wanted fucking Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin or whatever other short list they wanted me to deal with, it's like I don't know that I'd want that in my trust or in my retirement accounts. It's like, I want HEX in my retirement account. Why can't I do that through a bigger organization? And it just wasn't available at that point. It's been about a year ago now. So I don't know if it's still that way, which is fine by me because I feel like I'm more in control of it this way.
Well, you get to hold your own keys,
Right.
So I've got to reload my IRA after the first of the year. Scrape up the money to do that. So yeah, and buy HEX probably.
So with the Grayscale thing, it's like it's almost like an investment fund. Like, you don't hold your keys. Like, it's just they've got it, and you have a piece of this fund.
So the way so the method that you're talking about, which is something that I've gotten close to setting up, that is a better method. because holding your keys is going to be better for a lot of people. I think just as general advice. For me, I already had money that was kind of trapped in this certain account, and it was a small enough amount where I was like, oh, what happened? Like back in the bull market, I sold ETHE for like $25 a share or something, and like that's after there was this terrible point back. I was looking at my old trades. It was like somehow I bought ETHE at like $45 a share, and then 3 weeks later it was 50% lower.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
And then it went higher again. So it's like I found the perfect worst time to buy and then sell.
Nice.
But now that it's trading at $6.50, I was like, well, that makes sense for that. And then I started to learn more about it, and just kind of try to understand what's going on in the space. And it's kind of a joke, like that RH would buy it just because he doesn't like middlemen, and that's why the fund is actually worth $1 billion, because it would generate that much in fees even if crypto stayed the same price. In 5 years, it would probably generate those kind of fees. But yeah, I just think it's really fascinating, because I always felt like whenever we went above $600 Ethereum, I felt like, okay, maybe this is the point where I'm not going to buy anymore to hold or something. Because I got to buy, like other Hexicans did, at $100 when Richard called them bottom. And so for me, like I always had that mental thing is like, if ETH goes back to 600, I might be interested in it again, but not until then. And I found basically tonight, and I tweeted it, that basically people are paying more right now for one TShare in Hex, which is $680, than they are for one ETH worth of Grayscale shares, which are trading about $669. So
crazy.
That's pretty cool. Like that's a nice little statistic.
Yeah, right. Interesting. Yeah, I just pulled up the ETHE chart and was checking it out. Yeah, that's wild, man. I had not really dug deeper into that.
So the bullish case for ETHE. So the bearish case is like they screwed up and they're going to be the next FTX and they're going to rug everybody and you won't be able to withdraw anything.
Right.
And then the bullish case is that the SEC will. I mean, they're being sued by Digital Currency Group because they haven't allowed them to basically shake off the discount by allowing it to be like a convertible, the type of thing where there would be a right of redemption, or there'd be like a path to redemption. And what do they call that?
Wait,
called?
I had it.
There's a special name for it.
Well, I can understand why they wouldn't want it to be something that could be done all the time. So maybe they're working on some sort of one-time dispensation. But the ETF also is supposed to solve that, right?
That's what it's called. They want to convert the Grayscale trusts that are all trading at a discount now. They want to convert those to an ETF, which would allow redemption under certain circumstances, I believe. Which would significantly increase the price back. It would probably make the market meet the deep discount. So yeah, it's so in that one account, look, I like stocking up on Hex. Hex is down more than ETH. I think it has better utility and all these kinds of things. But yeah, I mean, like just for that one ETH worth, like I went ahead and gave it a gamble for ETHE because it's 45% off.
I made a nice little 14% gain in the last day or so on my limit order that filled at 2.4 on Hex.
Nice.
So I'm happy with that. It's like we're getting a nice little bounce. So I mean, obviously, I'm not doing anything with it. I just buy it and stake it. But still,
there's
it's nice when you feel like even short term, when you look at it and you're like, oh, it's higher than when I bought it. That feels good.
It
Yeah.
does. It does.
It's amazing how a little bit of green color makes you feel better.
Right.
You know, it's, you know, I'm sure somebody's already done this type of psychological testing, but I mean, what if you just gave people, you know, an app that told them they were making money? It doesn't have to be real. You know, would they feel better? They probably feel better. Stop worrying about a whole bunch of stuff, you know? But yeah, I'm with you. There's lots of opportunities out there right now. I mean, of course, the Hex, you know, price being down, good opportunity. You got those auctions going on in the Hadron space, usually 20% off on Hex most of the time. And not everybody's even aware of that, you know? And I know that we have mixed feelings about all that stuff, but there's all sorts of opportunities happening.
Yes, yeah, and I would also agree with like the person with Blackwing in the audience who is saying that Grayscale shares are like an ETH IOU. Bullshit.
It is.
I concur.
It is like an IOU. Yeah, I'm going to lean though towards the side that I have no idea. My feeling is that they probably are backed, and unless there's something really funky that happens, you know, I wouldn't be concerned about rug pulling, but I would be concerned about some sort of like judgment, you know, like you said, with the sister companies underneath an umbrella. But again, I'm no legal expert. I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. Who knows?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, I never understood the discount thing anyhow. It's like I just didn't understand how you could buy a basket of, I mean, because I always looked at it like it's like a mutual fund, right? And it's like you know, and that was kind of how it was explained to me when I was talking about trying to have crypto in my retirement account. They're like, oh, check out this and this and this, and I look and it's like, that's none of the shit I want. But I just assumed that it was like, okay, well, if it's like a mutual fund, it's going to own this much of that stock and this much of that one. And then basically the cumulative value of that and my proportion of it is what my investment is, right? So I never really understood like how it was, you know, GBTC was less than BTC, because if it's like backed by BTC, then how does that even work, right? So I don't know. I'm sorry to be coming in with more questions than content today, but it's
I think it's as simple as you probably know, but it, you know, when we think about it, it's like, no, it can't be this simple. It's just simply them saying, hey, we own Bitcoin. We can never sell it, but this is what it's worth. So therefore you guys should buy shares in it. And so maybe someday if we ever really had to liquidate, you get your value back. So it's backed.
So I mean, is it more or less like what Celsius and the other bullshit was doing? It was like, okay, we have this thing and you can invest in it, and then we're going to use this underlying asset to like earn yield, and then that's what's going to give you value in your investment.
No, not according to them. According to them, it's a
Do you
straight
trust
up.
them?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's
right.
what I'm saying. I mean, is it just straight up? Hey, it would be like you and I, you know, which we're not able to do at the moment, right? I don't think legally, but it'd be like if we decided we were going to start an investment trust of our own, you know, and we're going to go load it up and get people to buy shares, and we're going to say
Gotcha.
we're going to back it. Then how are you going to back it? 100%. And what you get in return is we charge you a 2% fee or whatever the fee is per year for
Got it.
having the custody. But I think the reason they can't fix, and again, I'm way out of my league, so maybe somebody will jump on to tell us this. I think the reason they can't fix the discount is that people have to want to buy it, and so they have to want to buy it, and until people buy it, the price doesn't go up.
Well, I mean, if that's the underlying, I mean, if it's backed by real BTC, is the idea of doing the ETF that they would basically sell that BTC on the market to effectively, you know, have a real valuation?
Yeah, well, they would be able. So the way it is today is, my understanding again, is just locked, right? It's just locked. It's a Roach Motel, you know. It comes in, but it can never leave, right?
Yeah, because that was always the narrative. It's like they always buy and never sell, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay,
And so how do you collect on that premium? So I go buy 50% off Bitcoin. I can't collect on it. I can only collect on it if you come along and are willing to pay me more.
right.
I guess
Well,
that's
and I wonder how much of their accounts are retirement accounts, because it's like that was like it was a captive audience for a while. Like if you wanted crypto in a
sure.
retirement account, that was your only option, is to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think the first time I rode that from like $2 to 26 down to 10 and then back up because through 2018 to 17 and 18. So yeah, and that was in my IRA.
And so that was through Grayscale.
Yeah. I forget
gotcha.
I forget the exact numbers.
Something similar. Yeah,
So,
I had like
so
a list. There were like
nobody beat me up. That was just in my little
Well,
fidelity.
they also, I noticed that they changed the value of an ETHE from 1/10 of an Ethereum to 1% of an Ethereum.
Interesting.
Mm.
That's nice to be able to just flip that switch. What the fuck? That just, I don't know, man.
It's probably just like a stock split situation, of course.
Yeah, and so Blackwing
Right.
is mentioned as something in chat. Probably makes sense. Again, I don't not in that area, but he's saying shorting, right? So maybe that's what's going on. Maybe it's one of these these deals where someone with enough money figured that out. Like the AMC and the other stuff that happened last year.
Who's this Blackwing guy in the chat? He seems like he's relatively.
It's like somebody that's been around for years.
Throw him a
Looks
link.
like a superhero to me.
Jump in. Tell us about your take on Grayscale.
Yeah, please.
I'm like the president. Oh, did you see on Twitter where I called that dude out? It's like, you know what? I hope he's legit. Whatever. It's like everything he says has been positive, but it's just like one of those deals where it's like, I'm gonna buy $1 million worth of HEX tomorrow, and it's like, to me, it just seems like such an obvious way to just get followers, or to just get clicks or whatever. And so he posts this huge picture of like bags of gold bars, right? And it's like obviously in someone's trunk. And if each bar is like a kilogram, it's probably like 150 of those gold bars. It's probably like $9 million to $15 million worth of gold. And he's like, and I'm selling all this tomorrow. Like tagged Peter Schiff is like, I'm selling all my gold tomorrow because I can't get yield on my gold, and I'm buying HEX.
Oh yeah, who was that?
Yeah, it's just some bro. Let me find him. But it's like, but then I like went back through his tweets. I'm like, man, this guy's familiar for some reason. And like back in May, he's like, I'm all in on HEX. Like all my bags are in HEX. And then it's like in September, I'm buying $1 million worth of HEX tomorrow or whatever. And then today, then he posts the thing. It's like, I'm selling all this gold for HEX. And it's like, you know what, bro? It's like, I get it. It's like, that's all good. So I asked him to come on the effing hangout. I'm like, come on the effing hangout. Show us one of those gold bars. It's like, if you want to get engagement, then like, it's typically better if you're being honest and like real about it. Cause otherwise it's like, everybody's sus, right?
Yeah. For long lasting engagement, sure. But,
but it's a cool picture. I mean, the picture was cool because it's like, it would be neat to see like that much gold in person, just in a couple of like 3 bags in your trunk. But it was, let me see if I can find a link for you, Maddie.
Oh yeah, I'm working on a couple side projects that might be funny like that.
Just bags of gold.
Yeah, not real gold. But yeah.
Okay. Oh my!
Hex colored acorns for my squirrels.
Gotcha. Can of gold spray paint. You never know.
Yeah. A couple other things. I got stickers right here, man. I can like start stickering it up.
Oh wait, I think I can find it over here easier because like Hexvid, she messaged me about it. She thought it was funny. Oh, the guy is, where is he? It is, fuck. She cut it off. But yeah, but basically it's like, I appreciate the hype, but you didn't say you had all your, but didn't you say you had all your bags in HEX in May, and then say you were buying $1 million worth in September, and now you're showing what I presume to be around 9 million worth of gold in your trunk that you're going to sell for HEX next week?
Come on, who was it, man? I saw that, but I can't. I thought I knew.
I'll find it. I
can't remember who I saw that.
I'll find it. Damn it. Let's see if I go to my own page and search me. There we go. Okay.
I'm excited to hear more. Hey, listen, if somebody, I don't know anybody who would be running around with a trunk full of gold, but if somebody does have a trunk full of gold and they want to do something with their gold,
right?
The chat beat you to it, I think. Yep.
Did they find it? Thank God. Thanks, guys, because I'm like struggling. Well, I got into another. There was a thread that Kinetics had going about what they're trying to do with like a legal fund to take it to the SEC or whatever. So
hold up. This guy is going
There
to
it is.
buy.
Oh,
this
you found
guy's
it.
going to
Okay.
buy $1 million worth of Hex, and you
No.
voted him out.
He was going to buy $1 million worth of Hex in September, and then
Okay.
never any else.
Well,
everything else.
Tobiwan, we got to be nice to people who have
Maybe
$1
he
million
did.
No, if
and
it's
wanna buy
real,
Hex,
I'm like,
okay?
I'm cool with it. It's like I'm hoping it's
need
real.
to-
I hope it's real. You know,
Yeah.
Well, the bags look real.
the bags look real. The
I
gold
mean,
looks real.
They would be bags that have to carry that.
There's also
you know,
pictures that are very similar to this on Pinterest.
I've made.
So I hope it's real. I hope he comes on to effing Hangout and like holds up one of those gold bars and like tells me shut the fuck up. I'd be happy to hear that, but it's like
He's going to go buy Doge GF now because
he's
you
a
doubted
Hex
him.
man. He's all about Hex. It's like if you read his whole account, it's like he's always saying good things. So it's like I appreciate the positivity. I appreciate him trying to pump everybody up about it. But it's just like it's just a little like eyebrowy, you know. It's like, come on, bro, really? It's like cringy to me a little bit. But if it's real, God bless him. I mean, I think
it's awesome.
I don't know how he made $9 million
I think
in
it's
gold
awesome.
since May.
I think
that
it's
now
a
he has.
gold flex wrapped in a Hex flex. I think that's what we need, more of that. So
Is that going to be the next spinoff? That's going to be Hex Gold. It's
No.
like Bitcoin Gold and Bitcoin Diamond and all that, all right?
No.
So God, I hope not. I can't keep track of what we got already. I'm getting too old for this shit. But it's a cool picture. I watched it over and over too. It was mesmerizing. I can see.
I
But
think I actually saw that. Yeah.
But yeah, well, who is it? Mr. Kutrin. God bless you, Mr. Kutrin, if it's legit. He's got a sharp-looking suit. Apparently, also, if you scroll down his feed, he spoke with his designer or whoever like dresses him professionally, and he showed this rack of suits that were for like Brad Pitt and like Leonardo DiCaprio and like all these other people. So apparently, he pitched Hex to whoever that guy was. It's not that, but I'll tell you what that is in a second because I did a little deep dive. He's got a lovely wife, handsome guy, you know. Is he a jet? I mean, that's cool.
So you came on the show just like FUD this guy out of the community?
No, I'm just saying. It's like this is just like what's going on with me lately. It's like I got nothing to add to the Grayscale thing because I'm a fucking retard and don't understand it. But this was just funny to me. There it is. Conor McGregor, Brad Pitt. So this is apparently the same designer that he uses. So he gave him information about Hex, and this guy supposedly gave it, you know, is passing the word on to like these kind of big names, which is super cool if it's true. I love it. Now, in the dinner thing that he showed, I didn't see him in the video that was up above. That was, if you scroll back up, he was apparently having dinner with Steven Seagal. And you see him kind of sweep the camera around, and you see Steven Seagal for like a split second at the end. And Steven Seagal's on his phone, but it doesn't look like Staker app. And he's basically saying that he was going to make him a hexagon. But you don't see him in the video. You just see this sweep of the... So it's like, I'm just suspicious. It's like, I want to see this guy with his arm around Steven Seagal with Staker app on the phone. You know, show me some proof. Come on Discord Syndicate. Show me a gold bar, bro. It's like, where you at? I've been out here. I'm in these streets. Maddie, Crispy, we're out here. Our faces
this
right here.
This guy does not look like a Discord Syndicate guy, okay? He looks like...
Well, he needs to come on your show then. He can come on here, right?
I didn't say that either. I mean, it looks more like a Cabana.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Crypto.
Maybe he'd slide into Cabana's stream. Wherever. Show up, you know, bring one gold bar. Sell the rest, melt them, whatever you do with your gold bars. And save me one for the next meetup. I'll buy one from you.
Well, let's think about this too, right? I mean, give the guy the benefit of the doubt for sure. What would a gold bug becoming convinced that Hex was the way and converting to Hex look like? If you were going to hear about it at all, right?
You wouldn't. You just wouldn't hear about it, bro.
You probably. But what if it's somebody who leans towards you know, really wanting to get that information out there?
I hope so.
Of course you would hear about it. Of course you would hear about it. It's the internet. You would hear people will say things.
But you'd hear about it after the fact. Like nobody, I don't care what kind of money you have, you're not gonna like have people front run your own purchase, you know. Like I'm going to do this tomorrow. It's
maybe
like,
he's looking at the future market supply and you're not, and he's just like laughing all the way home to his like cheap
I'm fine with it. I just found it humorous. And then what's her name? Havid Hex or whatever. The real pretty girl that went to dinner with Richard. She messaged me, thought it was funny that I was busting his balls. So, but she's crushing it out there. It's like, I don't know if you ever look at that. Like, is it Social Blade, or there's one of the metric sites that shows like what your activity is on Twitter in particular. And I can't think of what it's called, but she's like always up there in like the top 3 as far as just engagement. So
yeah,
God bless her.
She's crushing it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, and answer in the chat too, Maddie. If anybody has gold fillings, this is not financial advice. We
Not
have
dental advice.
We're not sure that you can actually remove them and do anything with them. So
I can just get this in my mouth. Send that to Maddie.eth.
Now accepting gold teeth.
Now accepting gold fillings. Right? Never proud. Never too proud.
Always do your own research.
Right? No doubt. No doubt. Hey, I'm glad to be off my cleanse. I think when I was talking to you guys last week, I was still cleansing away. I got down to 165 pounds. I think I peaked out at like 184, like heaviest I'd ever been in my life. So yeah, I'm feeling fit and much better. My back's a little jacked up still. I was hoping losing the weight would help more. And then I'm doing like assisted stretching stuff that started today. So I'm waiting. I've been ice and heating it most of the day. So I don't know how long I'll be able to sit before my back starts screaming at me. But fitness, mental health, physical health, these are things that we can focus on in the bear market, right? Because this stuff will stress you the fuck out. It's like looking at the charts and following Twitter and all that stuff. It's like, I mean, Maddie knows he's got real world stressors on top of that. So it's like, for me personally, not, I'm the king of unsolicited advice, so we're better, right? But it's like, the things I'm choosing to try to focus on is just like what I can do for my physical and mental health, like during this shitty time. And then that way I feel like I'll be more well equipped to really enjoy when we're back, just crushing it on every level. Oh, and I found a reason for another cool thing to be able to use Time Saves Me. Like, check out this weird situation. And it didn't dawn on me until like you sent me the link. I'm like, oh wait, this kind of works with Maddie's thing. All right. My onboards are solid. I taught them stem to stern. They don't bitch and moan and cry. They get it. They understand how TShares work. It's like they're locked and loaded for dips and they're staked and chilling. However, I had this one dude, and I hope he's not watching me, but sorry, bro, if you are. He was a friend of a really, really good buddy of mine, and my buddy was like, you got to talk to my friend. You got to talk to my friend. He really wants to do this, and he's been getting wrecked everywhere he goes. You got to help him out. So I get him into Hex like a year and a half ago. So he got in at like, I don't know, 7 cents or something, and it's not like a big purchase. I mean, like, not a big purchase, right? And he's had it staked, and it's staked until like July or August of this coming year. And he blows me up about every 2 or 3 months and is like, oh man, this is just big pump and dump. I hope you didn't put too much money in it. This guy's an obvious scammer. I don't know why I did this. How do I get my money back out? I'm just like, bruh. And I'm like, you're staked, Mr. X. You're staked. And if you want to get out now, you're going to be wrecked, on top of wrecked, because of the penalties. So if you would like, I will buy your stake. And then crickets, and I won't hear anything for a while. And I'm like, I'm telling you, you just need to sit on it. You're going to be fine. This is the truth engine. This is keeping you honest and saving you from yourself from doing something silly on the upper or the bottom, right? On the upside or the downside.
This is only something you would consider with an onboard that under certain circumstances, but we don't go around buying people's stakes.
No, that's what I was going to say. So generally speaking, this is a horrible idea because they have the seed words, right? So that's the only way you would do it is they would give you the seed words. And then there's nothing that precludes this person or anyone that tries to do that shit from just going in there ahead of you and clearing that wallet out, and then you've paid for nothing. So it's a horrible idea. But in this circumstance, I've offered it up again. He's going to call me tomorrow. I'm thinking he's going to think better of it and realize he needs to sit on his hands for another 8 months. He's waited this long, and he'll be fine. But if he chooses to, I've made the offer, and I told him I'd be glad to PayPal him the dollar value, and he can give me the seed words. So, but then it made me think of your thing. And I'm like, oh, if you've got somebody that's just kind of like on the bubble or doesn't really know long term, and they trust you to be like their backup person for Time Saves Me, and they end up in a situation where they just want out of it, then couldn't they feasibly, if you've set it up in such a way to where you're the backup guy. So you have that backup seed phrase. They don't. Like, you just sit down next to each other and set it up. And then he decides, hey, I've been hacked, bro. I trust you. Can you help me out? Because it's coming your way. Or B, I'm freaking out. I don't understand what the fuck I'm doing. And you just want to buy this thing. So I'll just I'll flip the switch and it'll go to your control and then you can pay me for it. Is that a way that like a use case, I guess, in a weird backward way?
That's a way somebody could use it, because the ownership of the vault would be transferred to the pre-selected recovery address. And if the person who owns the pre-selected recovery address is, if they're wanting to pay the person, the crypto that's dripping out of there, or they're wanting, well, it's not really a payment. It's just I recovered this for you. Here you go. You send it back to a new seed word address. Or they could work out some sort of buying and selling thing. The other cool thing about Time Pays Me is that if you have not done a pre-selected recovery address, or then you're not going to be able to sell it. So it's the best of both worlds.
So once it switches over, I mean, now that we're talking about it, because it's like I always thought, like, just generally speaking, and what you'd talked to me about and what I've seen you talk about on stream, it seems like a really cool idea, and I can't wait for it to get fleshed out. Definitely something I would use myself and encourage others to use. Once it's all kind of buttoned up and ready to rock. But if the switch gets flipped, at that point, does that new holder of the wallet have any options for protecting it from yet another hack or an opportunity to transfer it yet again?
No.
Or at that point, that's the final destination.
That's where it trips to now.
Got it. Okay. So you get a get out of jail free card once.
You get one extra life. It's like
got it.
It's like some kind of green mushroom in Mario or something.
Got it. Right on. So in other words, if you are going to set yourself up with an onboard in the future and not only be the recovery person to help them, because some of the onboards aren't. I mean, like, I have people seed words now. There's a handful of my onboards that just weren't comfortable and thought, man, I'm going to lose this, and it's like I'm going to come crying to you, whenever. And I, made an arrangement that I would keep those safe for them and that they trust me. And I'm happy to do that for these select few very close friends and family.
Good thinking.
Yep. So in the future, if I was using something like this, then you could actually expand that out to like someone that, they trust you, but also someone that might, for whatever reason, get shaky hands and want to do something stupid like an EES. And then you can alleviate them of that burden by simply saying, hey, flip the switch and I'll buy out,
Sure.
And because like right now, I'm worried that Mr. X, like if he decides to take me up on my offer, it's like, what keeps him? And and it's 8 months out. So for 8 months, I got to worry that this dipshit has either written down the seed word somewhere and then somebody finds it. And then he's like, I don't know what happened, or because he's convinced he doesn't have it. Like the only way he even has the seed word is going on MetaMask that he still has on his computer, not hardware walleted, and going and revealing secret phrase so he can see it to tell me when the time comes. So it's like there's still that huge risk that not only could he not be, honest and try to do something sketchy, but that's not fucking secure, right? So I mean, I'm taking a huge risk with it. So, but it's a small amount of money, and plus I just don't have to hear him bitch anymore. And I'm not a guy that's like in your face, but it's like there are a couple people I'm just waiting to dunk on. I just can't wait because they've just been so relentless and negative and
cool.
Rant over.
Well, yeah, and I just got to do my first time lock with Time Pays Me in the private test net this week.
Oh, cool!
So that was cool.
Are you gonna do a public test net on that?
Yeah, that would be normal.
Okay, that would be fun to play around.
Was that Test Pulse that you did it with?
No, I don't want people seeing.
No. I mean, oh yeah. So if it's your own private, it doesn't matter what the token is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's really exciting to see how it's gonna go, and it's not ready yet, but there's also been some major new ideas I've been batting around with the game theory because I don't like what we have now in terms of the incentive program, because it gets really tricky to like distribute the APY, if you want to call it that. It gets tricky.
Yeah, because you don't know what the future will hold as far as like the staking behaviors and like what the actual, TShare per or hex per TShare per day rate would be. I mean, you have a general idea, but I mean that could change with staking behavior changing.
So I thought of a way to solve it, but we're still trying to shoot holes through that. So once I get a little bit closer, then I'll be able to talk about it publicly. But yeah, basically the idea is that time pays me could end up being something where you have to figure it out without an incentive, just the natural incentives of, having the superpower of holding something longer and then having a higher APY. So there's more of a learning curve at the beginning for people who don't already know that that's a good strategy. It's like, buying and holding and dripping to yourself and dollar cost averaging out of things. I mean, you can use time pays me to dollar cost average into something, because you can take theoretically you'd be able to take USDC if we include that in the compatible tokens, and then you can drip yourself USDC every week. You can withdraw 10% of what you put in and buy Hex or buy Pulse Chain, Pulse X, buy whatever you're intending to buy. But that way you don't go full FOMO on things. Likewise, somebody can dollar cost average out of something by just having the natural drip as a part of the time lock. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the final form takes. But I would I'd like to see it be incentivized, but I know that there are going to be like natural incentives there too. So what's up, Mel Tony?
I'm stoked about it. I mean, I think it's such a cool thing. And it's like, it's like I've been pretty supportive of, I'm always supportive of whatever people want to do with their own money. I explain what I choose to do and what I think the best options are. But even like the derivative plays and stuff, it's like, there's all of that's based on how Hex goes, right? So it's like you never know. And we've already seen short term, like some things that have gone wrong on, the two primary derivative tokens that we know of, right? Like, or teams, let's say, the Hedron team and the Maxi team. So it's like, not to say that there's something else hidden in there, but it's effectively counterparty risk, right? So that's where, the majority of my activity is with native Hex stakes and
not paying your future self.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So those things, it's like to each their own. But what's nice here, and it's like not to just like totally blow wind up your skirt. And it's like, I know I like Maddie. It's like Maddie and I are friends. We've talked about personal stuff, and we've spent time in person and stuff together. But it's like, it's so nice to have someone in the community that it's like, it's to me just so easy to rally around a project they're working on. Because it's not a derivative play. It's not something, obviously there could be risks involved, but he's fleshing that out and making sure. And this is something that I really feel could benefit even the broader community than just Hexicans, So, to have something spring from our little humble family is cool shit. I'm kudos to you, man. I can't wait to see where it goes.
I can't wait to go on every show I can go on. I can't wait to read off my seed words to $10,000 worth of Pulse sacrifice points, and to prove to everybody that you can undo a hack.
Do you know what you ought to do that would be fun when that time comes? Is like on Etherscan, you can set up an alert system. So if there's any activity on a particular address, it will email you. So you should do that, set up like a dummy email account, obviously, and then just have that like running live. So you can see like immediately, like when there's activity on that account, like how quickly it is that someone goes in there and tries to hack it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
people, it's going to be like, bring your own ETH or Pulse to pay for the fee to run the transaction. I guess on Pulse Chain, it's going to be pretty low fees there. So people can bring enough for everybody to do a withdrawal request and see it fail horribly, because because I can just change ownership.
The time pays me.
My
the
pre-selected
hammer.
recovery address that I'm not sharing the seed
Right?
loads to. Yes, this is not a giveaway, by the way.
No.
It's a demonstration.
Speaking of not a giveaway,
Yeah.
I was looking at the box sets, dude. It's crazy how many of those that are gone already. And I do want to do something at some point. I'll talk about that later, but and not on here. But you know, it's pretty cool that those are. I think we priced them right, and it's like I think it's a fun thing for people to get amped about. And plus, I can't say anything. I was actually just chatting with Pat earlier today. But hopefully in the next few days, we're going to get some news that could be really, really, really exciting for the community. So I'm waiting to see what'll happen. It could just be like nope, 2 more weeks. We got to wait. But we're the middle of next week. We should have some, or middle of this week. What is today's date? It is in 5 days. 1, 2, 3. By this weekend, we should know either one way or another, or we get another little waiting period. But it's some cool shit. Like if this goes the way I'm hoping it goes, I'm like, it's going to be fucking cool. People are going to be freaking out. Is all I can say. So I'm excited for it. And, to know that you got an opportunity to actually have tickets to go to the premiere when it finally plays, like in New York or LA or London is it's probably New York and LA, or I'm sorry, New York and London, possibly one in LA, maybe even one in Portland, but it all just kind of depends on how that plays out in the time frames. But I'm stoked. I think it's exciting to see what's going to come of it. But yeah, it's limited edition THOS.com. I can drop it in the public chat if people are curious what's left, because they've definitely been moving out. And I bought a bunch for Christmas presents. I actually I bought one for Maddie, but then he was like, "Don't do it." He goes, "Sell it, and you can donate or whatever." It's like, "Fuck you and your box." It's like, there's no shilling on my show. It can't be a donation of that type. I'm like, sorry. So I might just wrap it up and send it to Maddie as a gift. I don't know yet. Or I've got and actually I got another one to do for Hexo, but then I ended up just donating money instead. So I ended up with like a couple extra over and above the ones I bought for like some onboards of mine that are like VIPs and one particular family member who I hope she's not watching, or now she knows what she's getting for Christmas. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's fun. Go poke around the website and like the pictures. I don't know. Have you guys seen the album? Like the LP, like the album artwork, and like it's like a colored vinyl. Have you seen that?
I have not.
It's pretty cool shit, if I do say so myself.
What's the first word in the website?
It's just limited edition.
Limited.
THOS.com. Oh wow, wait, is that right? No way. Is that right?
What?
Do I have like a major announcement? Dude,
what?
The #1 box set, the meet and greet experience for $55,000 has sold.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
Where does it say that? Does it say
availability out of stock? Like if you do the drop down on the edition numbers, like that one, the meet and greet experience, availability out of stock. So that one sold. Remarkably, I think we had like
Sweet.
9. I think we had 10 of the premiere boxes that'll include a pair of tickets to the premiere. There's 7 of those left, it looks like. So that's pretty cool that there's that many left. I mean, $5,000's not a small amount of money, but it's 2 tickets, so you don't have to buy like 2 boxes if you want to take your wife or your buddy or your significant other. So I think that's pretty cool. And then of the rest, it's like it doesn't give you a countdown, so I don't know how many are left unless I fuck around with it. So basically what I'll do, like this is my behind the scenes way of like knowing how many are sold, so I'm not like blowing Pat up, like how many are left? And then he's like, I don't know. So I just put in like a quantity in the add to cart until it tells me that I can't get that many. And then I know how many are left. So the last time I checked it, there were like less than 100 boxes left. So, but yeah. So, but if you look around the website, I'm like on there instead of StreamYard. Oh, there you are. So you can see like the CD, and then I think there should be a picture of the LP as well. But the artwork, I can't remember who the name of the guy was that did it, but the artwork I thought was really cool. It's like an astronaut with like a boom box on his shoulder. There it is. If you scroll down, I think it might be the next image. Yeah, so it's like an astronaut with like a boom box with like the Hex logo and the speakers. So pretty slick album artwork. And then I don't know if you scroll down more if it shows you the actual Oh, it doesn't show you the album. Damn it. But the LP itself is colored vinyl. There it is. So it's like a kind of pinky orangey. It's kind of it's like the pinky color from the Hex gradient.
Yeah.
So that's an actual colored vinyl I always thought was cool. Like I'm a vinyl nerd.
Yeah.
But I was pretty impressed with that. And I can't believe like the #1 box sold. RG will be pumped. It's like, RG, that shit's never selling. It's like, who's gonna want to go to dinner with you, bro? It's like you're gonna have to pay them. But yeah, but out of stock on that's big news. That's breaking news, everybody.
Wow. Awesome.
So pretty cool stuff. Pretty cool stuff. But the thing that they didn't do, which I was kind of hoping they would, because I'm like, man, it's like, why don't you guys, like, whoever bought them already, it's like, send them a card. And then that way they can have a card if they want to gift them. And they're like, well, we don't know how many people are doing it as gifts and how many they're buying for themselves. I'm like, okay. It's like, I'll make my own card to gift, because it always feels weird, like when you buy something for someone for a gift and you can't quite give it to them yet. So it's like, here's a piece of paper that tells you what you're getting later. You know?
Yeah.
So it feels a little anticlimactic, but I'm still excited. I think it'd be cool.
Nice.
Yep. I bet I talked to Kinetics earlier today too, and it's like, I bet the last time I talked to him, he didn't know. So I bet he doesn't know that the #1 thing sold. That's pretty cool news.
Very cool.
Yep. Oh, and then speaking of Kinetics, I mean, I'm sure you've seen like the buzz on Twitter about the legal fund that they're, you know, he's pissed off basically is what it boils down to. It's like he hates what's happening to you guys and just generally like the cloud that's over Hex and the suspicion about, you know, is there going to be a full-on SEC investigation of the token? And so his idea is to like get a legal fund up and like press the issue with the SEC to get a declarative statement that Hex is not a security. So there's a pretty long thread. I can give you a link to it if people are interested in like checking it out. It's like I was like devil's advocate and just asking all the questions that came to my mind, because I thought like, well, why don't we wait until the subpoenas play out and see, you know, if they see that it's a big nothing burger and there's nothing to pursue. I mean, I don't see how this happens, but if they did, and then that gives them momentum and they want to go after the token, then at that point I could see why you would want to, you know, fight that, you know, aggressively. And then there's a guy named Mark Fagel, who I guess was a former SEC attorney, who just happened across our community because he saw people tagging the SEC. And he was a former attorney, but he's only on Twitter because he's a music nerd, and I'm a music nerd. So it's like he actually, if you follow him, it's MARC_FAGEL. He's got some really cool music posts, and he has a book called like Jittery White Guy Music or something. And but he posts some neat information. So I actually ended up kind of befriending him a little bit, Twitter style, and following him.
Oh, nice.
But he's got but he was able to talk to Kinetics and kind of give him his 2 cents on like, you know, what he thinks about it. And he's been very vocal on some of these Twitter threads. So it's nice to have someone that's kind of got some awareness of the SEC's inner workings and like what their take on it is. But we're still trying to like win him over to be a Hexican, because it's like he's anti-crypto generally. So he's like a no coiner, right? So we're trying to use that to give him an opportunity to learn about how Hex is different, you know. So it's an educational thread, I would say.
Yeah.
If people want to check it out.
Very good. Hey, you know, kind of a branch off of that. You guys know Orange posts sometimes, Crypto Orange.
Crypto Orange. It doesn't.
Well,
if I saw the
yeah,
avatar, I'd probably know it, but the name doesn't ring a bell.
But he had posted up something about you know, about people learning more about this token. It kind of spurred me to thinking, right? So how many of us have been exposed to college students? Probably all of us, right? And what do college students need to do? They need to do papers. And paper time is coming up here soon, right? As we go into the new year. So there's going to be a whole bunch of papers going to be written about cryptocurrency, right? And those cryptocurrency papers are going to be written because this was an exciting topic this year, right? And so whether they're going to be dissertations, finals, research paper, whatever people are going to do. But, you know, we're kicking around the idea that, yeah, maybe, you know, we should be encouraging, not looking for the kids necessarily to join into Hex. They can do whatever they want to do. But what a great opportunity to look at something that's immutable, decentralized, an Ethereum contract in operation for 3 years. Man, it's like, and all the information's verifiable on the blockchain, and you don't need any of us. You don't need anybody to go verify it. I mean, you might need technical help to get some of it, but once you get that technical help, I mean, it is what it is. You can draw your own conclusions, write your own, hypotheses. Anyways, I thought that was kind of a really neat idea to go in that kind of direction.
I concur. Maddie, you need one of those things. Like, I think Trayvon's got one, and I don't know what it is. I was asking Kinetics, and he said like what he has is different, but it's like where you can have pre-recorded sounds, like, where it's like, the crowd goes wild, and then I was just like looking at the hex price, and it's like we're up 10%, so it's like boing, like a big bounce off the resistance.
I can play my harmonica.
If I had my own show, it would be much more obnoxious. Let's just put it that way. So Maddie's is pretty clinical, which I love.
Every time you want to sound, let me know.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, there you go, dude. Don't make me get my harmonica out. We could battle it out right now.
I'm terrible at it.
I'm horrible too. I know I know the intro to one Ava Brothers song, and that's it. And the rest is just like somebody's stepping on a gut, like a goose or something.
Yeah, this one's a little banged up, but I've got a nice blues.
Blues harp.
Yeah, and
Maddie, are you musical at all? I know we've gone far afield from crypto and stuff, but not musical, not at all, really. Dude, I could see you like shredding a fucking electric guitar.
Most people are musical at least once a day.
No comment. But have you ever seen those memes of people playing guitars, but they take the guitar away and they give them a slug?
So to bring it back to crypto.
I just got my hand slapped. I'm sorry.
Back to you, Maddie.
To bring it back to crypto, Tobiwan asked a question earlier, and INT Pro has this beautiful question to add on. So to Toby's question, could you point the recovery address at yet another time pays me address in regard to still having another extra life after you first save? Cascading TPMs. Winner, winner, winner. That's a great idea.
It's like a TPM ladder.
It's a trust network or something.
Yeah, right. A ladder.
That's that's a great idea. I think I'll bring that to my team and see what we can do. But for example, that might solve the problem of only having one extra life. So now you could have as many lives as people who trusted each other.
Or you just set up a bunch of them yourself, and just like chain them together. And then that way you can flip it over as many times as you want. It's like, fuck HSIs. I can just flip it to another TPM.
Yes.
And here's a TPM and it's got 5 more lives with it, so send your money.
So, but yeah, I'll have to think through, like with any game theory, we have to really kick it around and make sure it doesn't break anything else.
Of course. See, it seems simple enough, though. It's like, if you can point it to any secondary address, and that's already, and the first one's already set up.
But the address isn't what is a vault. So the vault is owned by an address, and
right.
So, and then within each address, there can be multiple locks, like there can be multiple stakes. Different cryptos can be locked, and within each crypto that's locked, there can be multiple time locks within that. So, but there might be a way that we can go with that idea. I just hadn't thought about doing it that way, but
cool.
It's certainly one of the ways that people might try to use it. And so I want to understand how that works and be able to see if our design space can handle that.
You never know the opportunities that come from one little scared, paper-handed, weak pleb.
What?
That's how the conversation started. Is this fucking dipshit of mine on board wanted to get out of his thing, right? So it's like,
yes, yeah. How roundabout was that?
I know, right?
Yeah,
full circle.
So do you guys like Hex being 95% off right now?
Dude, my staking ladder is looking healthy, and my limit orders are in and getting filled on these dips, so I'm happy with it. Yep.
Were you joking when you said Hex was up 10%?
No, I looked on Nomics just now. It was like 9.98% up. It's like almost 2.8. It's 2.781. Where's Melv Tony when you need him? It's
He's here. He's been posting.
Is he in there?
Look.
Has he been posting? Oh, see, I'm looking at private chat. See, that's why there's nothing moving. There we go.
All right.
Melv Tony 27407.
He's
According to
good.
Nomics, it's now up to 278 something.
Well, we don't go by
271.
Nomics. We go by Melv Tony.
Well,
That's
whenever
our
he
price
pulls,
oracle.
right.
where's
Sorry.
he pull? Where's he pull his data? Not coin market crap. I hope.
Probably.
I think Melv Tony followed me on Twitter, and I followed him back.
I didn't even know he was on Twitter. I hope I follow him. If I don't, I need to correct.
It's either that or somebody's stealing the
egregious
name.
error.
Yeah.
I was like, who else could this be? It could only be one.
We should ask now from the
Yeah.
real Melv Tony.
There he is, Melv Tony. What's your Twitter handle, bro? Throw it in the chat so we can know who the real Melv Tony is. Will the real Melv Tony please?
And nobody quickly make another YouTube account. It's Melv Tony while we're trying to
Right.
figure this out.
Yeah. After almost 2, dude, I probably already follow you.
Yeah.
Don't give me shit in the chat. What are you doing, bro? It's like I probably do. I know. I bet I follow him already.
All right, Tobiwan has to turn on notifications now for Melv Tony. That's the one.
Yeah, right. Melv Tony at Melv Tony.
Right.
Is that
All
even a
right.
thing? Melv Tony.
Joined April 2012. There you go.
Let me find him. Damn it. I hope I follow him or I'm gonna feel like a dipshit. All right. But what's new? At Melv Tony. He follows me. Do I follow him back? God damn it. I don't follow him back. It doesn't say follow back though. That's weird. Because normally like it'll say follow back instead of
I'm
just follow.
glad I could assist you in this matter by bringing it up. This is good.
Born in the New York City, the Big Apple. Right on. Cool, man. You, sir, are now followed. I apologize for the horrible delay. I thought you were just like a YouTube dude only and didn't fuck with the bunch of nonsense on Twitter. But you're fucked now, bro, because I'm going to tag in everything.
At least all the price updates.
How about he's blessed now?
Yeah, right.
Blessed.
Yeah.
Blessed.
Notifications going wild. Everybody tag Melv Tony in all your future tweets.
Oh, wow.
I can handle it. I love it.
Spent 3 years in Twitter jail. That's
What?
a long time. That's like the same length that Hex has been around. And on
Yes.
that note, I would like to point out that I am doing a 12-hour long community stream on Friday.
Sweet. Oh, that's right. It's the
For the Hex
anniversary.
birthday.
The Hexanniversary.
Did you get your guess in for price?
I did,
So-
but now with this bounce, I'm regretting it.
I went high on mine, so I'm going for the big.
I thought we were going to
How
retest
high?
this. Where'd you go with it?
3 cents, man. Come on.
I think we could get there, bro. It's like I've got a little. Can I share my screen?
You can. I thought. Well, actually, I don't own the stream, so I guess you can't. Maddie.
I don't know.
Depends what you're going to show.
It's a chart. It's just my little.
Right.
It's my horrible drawings on TradingView. Share screen. Okay. Share
Yeah,
screen.
the thing I was bringing up is Steph had put out. You know, he did a little giveaway for TShare rate, I believe, not too long ago, and he's doing one on price for the anniversary day.
That's right. I should probably be covering it when I do my community stream. So
Yeah, I think
I
I should.
will bring it up because I am a.
Yeah, there's nothing. I don't have
I
anything.
appreciate Steph. He's
personal.
a great guy. He watches the show sometimes. So shout out to you, Steph. And I'll drop the Twitter link here in the chat so other people. I expect some super chats if you win.
I thought it was a good thing to participate. It builds community. You know, I appreciate him doing
It
it.
does. And so the question that Steph asked on Twitter is, can you call the Hex price at the end of its 3rd anniversary? And so that'll be like, so at the end of its 3rd anniversary, that should be Friday. In the US, it should be Friday evening. And Steph is giving away 1 billion Hedron, worth about $2,000 at the time that he wrote it. Whoever gives the closest estimate. And you have to reply, like, follow, and retweet. And you have to post before only like 4 hours before the end, 6 hours, something like that. So probably a bunch of people are going to, like front run the deadline or whatever.
Yeah, I was predicting like 2-3 something, and that's the reason I was talking about my TA. And I think I shared the screen with you, Maddie. If you want to show it, I don't care. But it's basically we're in a giant descending, not giant, but a relatively large descending parallel channel. And we had tested the bottom of it at around 2.4, which is where I had my limit order set. And then you can see there with my little mouse Rooney. So like this yellow triangle, I know there's a lot of people that make fun of like pattern traders, but you can see like the white triangle just prior to that, it played out almost to the tick. And so basically a triangle will break very near the tip. If 80 to 100% of the triangle being filled typically is where it'll break. So if it breaks down or up, it'll go the height of the triangle as the measure of the move. So that one was like to a tick and brought us down to like 265. And then it kind of regrouped for a bit and started forming another smaller yellow triangle. So the measured move on that would have brought us down around 2.4, and we actually wicked below that down to about 2.33. So I had a limit order set at 2.4. And then like something I like to do, which gives me kind of a little more confidence in my rudimentary TA, is zoom out for larger patterns. So if you go to like the daily on this and broaden this out a little bit so you can get an idea of what's up. That big white triangle is like the big giant descending wedge that's been going on forever since the all-time high. So we technically broke out of that around the beginning of September and then have been going largely sideways since. But typically a big descending wedge like that, it's almost like a bull flag. It will go the length of the flag post, which is this piece right here, which I can brighten up for you. So this is the height of the flag, so to speak, right? So if that were to be the case and we were to go from the breakout point, the measured move, curiously, and this is what I love, is the confluence of weird things. The measured move of that takes us almost back to all-time high, or like right at it. Mm-hmm. So it's just really curious that where it breaks from, if you take that same length, then we're back at all-time high, right? So that's kind of crazy. So obviously that can take months to play out, which obviously it is if we've gone a couple months outside of that breakout sideways. And then, if you zoom back into like the more recent patternage, then it's some parallel channels that are playing out. And like through the history of it, there's been tons of parallel channels that have been really true to form. And parallel channels, much like a triangle, they'll break up or down the height of the channel. So right now we're in this upper portion, which is this yellow parallel channel. So that's where my prediction came from on that, which is that we would go, after we touched it, that we would maybe bounce back up into this triangle and come back down on the second and come in at around 233. So that was my guess. So I didn't wait to like the last 6 hours like some of you plebs. It's like I went hard right as soon as he put the tweet out. I wasn't going to like hedge my bet. Now I wish I had, So, but yeah, with this coming back into that triangle and looking like we're testing the top side, if not breaking it, the next resistance, this is where these squiggly lines come in. These are the EMAs, which is the exponential moving averages. And I've got mine set at 20 days, 55 days, and I believe 100 days. So in the past, it's like that's been, the 20-day EMA on the daily has been pretty stiff resistance until we can break out of it. So, we've been back below it for a while. So it's likely that that's going to be our next tough resistance, which is right at 295. So if we were to break out of that, the next resistance to try to break through would be 3.3, which is the 55 EMA, and then on up to the 100-day EMA, which puts us about 3.8, and then bing, what do you know? We're back at the top of this yellow channel. And then if we break the yellow channel, we move the height of the channel, right? So I was speculating that if we move sideways, maybe retest the downside of this a little more and then come to the top side of that channel and break it, then we're back up to another area of support and resistance, which is the 5-cent range. So these have worked really well for me for a long while. And then like my kind of secret sauce, I'll show you down below here, is these other indicators below, and I won't go too deep into it, Maddie, because I know that a lot of people kind of glaze over with this stuff. But this first indicator is called the Jewel. That's like a $5,000 indicator from Crown Crypto Trading. So I did that before I found out about Richard, and I was kind of trying to trade my way out of the bear market. And then, so this indicator is brilliant. And basically it's kind of a combination of EMAs RSI and MACD, and then they have this special algorithm built in for these green flashes. Now, the green flash alone doesn't indicate that it's going to be an upward move, but a lot of times it's an indicator that you need to start looking closely. And then as you get some of these crosses on these other indicators, then it is a pretty good indication that you're at a local bottom. So bang, the green flash happened right there on November 28th at around 11 a.m. UTC. And wouldn't you know it, that's the candle that caused us to hit the bottom of that channel and wick below it. And that would have been a great buying opportunity. So there's where Tobiwan set his nice little limit order at 2.4 and it filled. And then here we are like a couple days later, not even, and we're up 10%. So those are things that I kind of use to pick entries. But generally speaking, I'm always buying. So it's like, I bought this dip, I bought this dip. I think I even bought this dip. So, but over the long term, it's like, it makes me feel like I'm making a little more of an educated guess with things than just DCAing, so, cause I have some confidence in my skills with TA. So, but yeah, it's fun.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The audience has an opportunity to vote on YouTube right now. Stake and chill or time the market. We've got 6 votes in the first minute. Because I think a lot of people just listen to audio only, but so far 2/3 of people are saying stake and chill and 1/3 of people are saying time the market. So you decide.
Right? Yeah. It's like I'm a stake and chill largely, but I'm an educated timer of the market. So I'm buying my dip with whatever information that I can gather. So, but dollar cost averaging, like historically, has proven to be a really good way to do it because even TA, as confident as you can be in it, can be very wrong. So if you're buying with some regularity, then you're going to average. I mean, that's the whole thing. Dollar cost average. You're going to average your cost basis over time. And in the long run, that's proven pretty good. Because I think, Maddie, you might know this, but there was a thing I saw a while back. I'd have to get creative with my Googling to find it. But it was something like over the last 11 years of Bitcoin, it was like 40 days. It's like if you weren't in on Bitcoin in those 40 days, you would have missed like the vast majority of the gains. I mean, and maybe my numbers are wrong. Maybe it wasn't 11 years. Maybe it was 4. And maybe it was on 40 days. Maybe it was like 60. But it was a remarkably short window of time. Like if you weren't in, you were there for all the sideways and the down, but you missed the mad gains. So
yeah.
There's something like that. Let me see if I can find it.
You probably can find some examples with HEX that are just like that.
Hey, we're up above 2.8 according to TradingView. TradingView, we're at 2.812. Melv Tony, where do you get your prices? I don't know if you put that in the chat or not.
Name your sources.
Better not be FTX. I saw a stream, or I saw a post recently that was talking about that. How
it was probably me because I posted.
No, but it was something where it was like, actually, if you also took the same number of days out, on the other side. So instead of saying how up you would be if you were out a certain number of days, I think it was something about if you stay out of the market during times when it's obviously going to go down, then it's a way stronger effect.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Actually,
and I mean, that's like something that, I learned from Eric Crown. And I think it's a pretty common saying. It's like the trend is your friend, so it's like until there's like evidence that the trend is breaking, then it's best to stay on the sidelines or be very, very careful with your swing trades and stuff. But, obviously it's like I'm a former degenerate trader. I don't advocate that nowadays. And I repurpose some of those skills to kind of time where I'm doing my entries, and then I stake it and get my yield, and I am a much calmer person. Believe it or not. Could you imagine? Could you imagine me in my trading days? I bet I was even more of a maniac. Yeah, so basically if like this little measured move on that yellow triangle I was talking about plays out, it's like getting back up to the, is that the 200? Make sure where my EMA settings are. Yeah, it's 21 day, 55 day, and 100 day. So it'd be our resistance at the 100 EMA is like 291. So we're not far from that. But the measured move on that last pattern would put us to like 298. And I mean, as quickly as we're going up, I mean, that could be as soon as like tonight. So depending on if we cool off and pull back a little bit or keep running, I mean, next resistance I see beyond the 100 EMA is 3.1, and there's quite a lot of activity in like the 3.1 to 3.4 range. But if we break out of that, I think top side of that channel's reasonable, which gets us up back around 4 cents. So yeah, and then hopefully the highest of stakes guys come through with some good news and over the weekend, and then it just pumps everybody's bags with some excitement and happy vibes.
Trading is not good for relationships.
No, it's not.
Comment.
It is not.
Comment.
I can get some commentary from ex-girlfriends of mine that I dated during that time. They would agree with that. And keyword ex-girlfriends.
Any comments about having HEX in our wallets on ETHW and ETHFair?
Correct.
I like it. I like having free copies of things, and I think I haven't forgotten to tend to my stakes there, and I hope other people don't either.
Yeah,
yep.
I'm
Same. I just feel like it doesn't have the fundamentals that Pulse is going to have, because it's going to be bringing in all that liquidity. It's like, yeah, we kind of got a little sneak peek of what happens when a chain forks and you get copies of the tokens. But if there's nothing, if there's no momentum behind that, like there will be with all the staking pools and stuff that are already going to be live, and Pulse X going to be, ready to rumble and everything else. Because there was a lot of confusion right at the beginning of when those happened. Like, well, where could I even trade this? Or, and then I think it was Alex from Hedron that actually forked V3 Uniswap on one of them and was like, fuck it, I'm doing it. Like, even though like technically you're not supposed to be able to do that yet. But it's going to be live action, like as soon as, within like 48 hours of Pulse getting airdropped from the sacrifice set. So I think there's a lot more.
I have a blog with instructions on how to access stuff over there. And so
I use that.
hexw.info.
Yep. I use that to set up my RPCs and stuff. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So, but I'm tending to my stakes too. I feel the same as Maddie does on that. It's like, hey, free money's good. I feel like it's a risky endeavor to put new fiat into something like that. I would rather buy Hex and wait for my copies on main chain personally. But
we've got over 100 people watching live. We have 38 votes in now for whether people want to trade or chill, and Stake and Chill has gotten 79% of the votes. Timing the market, only 21%.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Melv Tony's using Uniswap. That's a good one to use, man, because that's where most people are doing their activity. So even if it's through Matcha, it's like a lot of that gets filled through Uniswap. So
somebody asked me how I feel about Infura logging my IP address. Well, with the SEC putting their glove on, before they give me an exam, it's like, who wants to see, So it's not going to bother me as much as it's going to bother everybody else. How about we just say that? So I guess I haven't educated myself on that particular topic. Have either of you guys got good info to go off of? If not, we can just say we don't know, and then in the future we'll ask people who do.
Unless I've for some reason like inadvertently turned it off, it's like I'm always using VPN on everything, like on my phone, on my computers. Like I'm always using a VPN. And it's like, and all of it's there. It's like, it's all on the blockchain. So it's like, and I claim everything. Like all of my stuff is logged in the, for my tax purposes and stuff of what wallets I control. And I don't fuck around with mixers or any of that stuff. Quite frankly, it's just because I don't understand it. It seems like it's more complicated than it's worth for my for my circumstance. So and it's like, I don't like that I have to pay a lot of taxes, but that's what comes with making a bunch of money. So next year I should make considerably less money. So I am keeping that in mind. It's like, that's something to keep, like, I didn't think about this until like a month ago. And I'm like, what the fuck am I minting all this hedron for? I'm getting taxed at an income rate on that every time I mint it. And like next year, I'm going to have a substantially lower income tax rate because I made a lot of money at the tail end of our company before we sold it. And next year, I'm effectively unemployed. So, and I don't plan on liquidating much. So it's like my income tax rate should be considerably less. So it's like hit the brakes on any more hedron minting. And even with the staking, like I did the math on it. So like, if I took my hedron and I staked it, like for the last 2 months of the year, it's like, it's negligible to what I'll save in taxes. But, it's like I always say, it's like making the money's half the battle, keeping it's the other half. And it's like, whatever you can do to use your brain and resources to figure out legal ways to mitigate your tax burden. Duh. It's like, that's like when that famous debate with Trump and like Hillary was trying to like skewer him on the tax laws. And he was just like, absolutely, I take advantage of all that shit. And thank you very much for you and the other members of Congress for allowing it. So it's like, if it's legal and it's available.
So, yeah, what I do, which helps now being under scrutiny and persecution, is I pay my taxes. I even paid them ahead of time before even all this stuff started. So it's just, in my mind, I don't want to be in such a volatile world of crypto, with a year-long trailing tax burden. So I just, when I cash money out, I calculate like what the taxes should be on it, and I put it aside. And I realized that instead of holding in my bank account that could, get messed with, or could get, somebody could hack it, or so, there's all kinds of things that could happen. I just sent the money to the IRS early. So,
yeah. Well, I'm not a tax expert and not a professional, so you got to go see your tax attorney, but we'll go look it up yourself. Technically, even if, let's say you were living off of crypto and you're cashing out throughout the year, you need to pay quarterly taxes.
mm,
And
Yeah.
a lot of people won't do that, and that's fine. Whatever you're going to do, you're going to do. But at the end of the year, when you actually finally file, you'll be charged a small penalty.
Do you say need to or have to? Or should? What? I can't. What'd you say?
I guess those are attorney words. I don't know.
It gets, it usually, I think, gets calculated, for example, by TurboTax, to be able to say like, oh, you messed up because you didn't pay your quarterly payments, and so now, so now you have this extra fee, extra penalty. But what I didn't realize until this past year is that that you don't have to wait each quarter. You don't have to hold on to the money. You can just pay.
Right. You pay whenever.
Pay all the quarterly payments just at once.
Yep. Well, one of the nice things at this point, I think it'll probably change as like crypto gets broader adoption, is that in stock trading, in equities, there's wash trading rules. So, for example, like in my parents, they're a financial advisor. They're invested in some stocks and mutual funds and things of that nature. And because the market has sucked ass there, just like it has in crypto, they took an advantage of that circumstance to do some tax harvesting. So basically what you can do is you can sell that particular stock or equity and lock in whatever that short-term loss is, or it could be a long-term, depending on how long you held the equity. And then that's a capital loss that you can use for the next year's, ideally your next year's capital gains. It'll offset. So you can, but the thing is when you do that with a stock or an equity, you can't buy the exact same thing back. I think it's maybe 30 or 90 days. I can't remember the rules of it, but they're trying to prevent people from taking advantage of that situation to where they're just going to buy it and sell it and rebuy it just to lock the tax savings in. With crypto, there's no wash trading rules yet. So that'll probably come in time, but especially, in my experience, because it's like I was buying right after the peak. I think I finally went back and looked begrudgingly. I didn't want to admit to myself, but I think I bought it like 38 cents after we peaked, and I've been buying ever since. So I had some substantial paper losses from those purchases. So I was able before the end of last year, and then again this year, to do some tax harvesting, because obviously, it's lower than where I bought it. So I could lock in those losses and then those carry over. So a lot of people are like, well, you can only use 3,000 of it a year. Yeah, you can only use 3,000 of it against your income. But it's like kind. So if you have a capital gain, it'll be offset by a capital loss and vice versa. So you can carry that forward forever. And, so let's say you got $10,000 in capital loss carryover. You can use 3,000 of it a year just against income until you eat it up. Or if you're fortunate enough to have an actual capital gain in the future, then when you have that capital gain, you don't start paying tax until it has exceeded your capital loss carryover. So,
yeah, and I did that last Bitcoin cycle, and it was awesome.
Yep.
But it takes a lot of time. Like it takes a lot of self-teaching and double checking, and
funny
you
story.
really have to be into it.
Funny story on New Year's Eve from 2021 to 2022. As luck would have it, I just happened to be in a Telegram chat with Richard, just like one-on-one. I don't even know what we were talking about, but we were just, and he would like, I'd ask him like, what camera do you use? Like, what kind of mic do you use? And he was just always super nice. And like, if he had time and was, obviously since then he's been very busy, so I haven't chatted with him in a very long time, but we just happened to be chatting. And I don't really drink, but my fiance got a bottle of champagne. So like she's on the back porch, like getting ready to do that. I'm scrambling to like do tax harvesting. Like I'd not done it before. And I'm like, oh fuck, it's New Year's Eve. It's like, I got to do this. So I'm like literally trying to like sell and rebuy Hex like before midnight while I'm chatting with Richard, while she's popping a bottle of champagne. It's like, this is the craziest shit ever. It's like, this is so surreal right now that this is happening. And then I didn't think about UTC time. So I'd got some of my buys and sells off in time to like lock in a loss. But then some of them were like, because I was basing it off of the time zone I'm in and not UTC. And I'm like, fuck. I'm like, that falls into January. So it's like, so it worked, but not for that year. It was for the following year. So it's, so be aware of UTC time. Like if you're going to wait till the final moment to do it, ideally you want to do it at what you think is the bottom of the market. So, and then you're going to capture the largest loss. But yeah, it's like little shit that you can do that's totally legal and that you can do to kind of mitigate your tax burden or kind of kick the can down the road.
Well, we don't know what's legal in different jurisdictions. So that's why
in the US
are going to consult with their own professional.
Absolutely.
Not
always.
Us,
yeah.
Find out what it is in your situation.
It is always good to consult with your own. I've got my own accountant and my own attorney that I confer with.
When we're just talking about what we did or what we thought we could have done and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Anybody that goes out and does anything based purely on what I say, you're an idiot.
But I think it's valuable for people to understand that there is a rabbit hole there.
Yes.
And that it's called tax loss harvesting, and
correct.
You can learn about it.
Well, and if you know those terms, then you know the questions to ask your professionals, and then that way you have, because it's like before I talked about any of this stuff, it's like I talk to my own professionals, so I have the confidence that I do when I talk about it. But still, even with that being said, it's like there are other terms I learned from other people, but I sure as shit didn't run with them. I ran to my attorney, my tax attorney, and was like, "Hey, what do you think about this and this and this?" And then he's like, "This is bullshit." And oh yeah, let's check into that. So that it. Absolutely. It's all part of the DYOR thing. It's like listening to people talking heads on YouTube is not your research. It can give you information that you can take and suss out yourself to find out what's good for your situation, and that you can feel confident moving forward because whatever you do, the IRS, if you got a problem with them, they're not going to come looking for me. They're going to come looking for you because you're the guy that signed on the return that this was legit, right? So it's like cover your own asses and like do your own research. We're just sharing experiences that we've had and like what we know and what we're comfortable with, and then you need to confirm that with professionals. Absolutely,
because it's like if you're going to be bored and like you want to learn something, or you want to be able to play these cycles better. It might be that because Wake Dog is like, getting upset about like, oh, this is just buy high, sell low is what tax loss harvesting is. But if you think about it in the context of like, I think the three of us are DCA guys when it comes down to it.
Largely.
We like to DCA in maybe. We like to DCA out maybe. And the truth is, when crypto goes in 2 to 4 year cycles, it becomes valuable to like take note of, oh, if I get my timing right and I, am in a position where I've done so much research that I can sell my Bitcoin on, a day or two before New Year's, and then I can buy it back a couple days after, and the price is about the same. Well, I was able to harvest, those losses compared to where I bought it at. And what that does for my dollar cost average strategy, really all that it does is it might put me into a situation where, let's say Bitcoin goes to zero. Well, now I have a little bit of tax savings. Not to say that Bitcoin would go to zero, but like that's why I took the tax loss harvesting hedge once I deeply understood it, was just because, why wouldn't I want to use that harvest in that way?
I mean, that's why it's there. I mean,
basically. So yeah, and then the fact that Bitcoin, went up again, then that cost basis, if that cost basis is adjusted so that you're going to pay the taxes at some point. But if you don't know if the crypto is going to go up again or not, that's the situation in which you might want to play it that way.
Absolutely. And then like I'm not sure about Coinly. Token tax is what I use, and I know that they actually have like a tax harvest dashboard. So it'll literally show you like things that are underwater, and that would be a good opportunity to harvest the tax loss on. So really good tools. And I think I'll drop it in the public chat, but I've got like a referral link for that, which I think gets you a discount. And if you don't want to use that, I think you can just use HEX, HEX, as a discount code, or I believe it's Tobiwan, TOBIWAN. If Tobiwan doesn't work, use HEX. And you can get a discount if you haven't used token tax previously. But it's worked well for me for the last several years, and I'm a fan of the ease of use. And there's customer support's great. Like you can chat with them anytime, and they'll answer basic questions. It's like if it gets a little deeper, then you have to pay for like VIP, which is not cheap. But I think it's like $200 a year otherwise. And it'll basically pull in all your wallets. I mean, you just put in your public addresses, and it pulls all the data from the blockchain and basically gets you what you need to give to your tax preparer.
Wake Dog says, when taxes go up, I throw my tea overboard and write it off as a loss. You sound like a founding father.
Well, wasn't there something last week, Maddie, that you were talking about with Michael Saylor, like taking his keys to the bottom of the ocean or some shit?
Yeah, there was something like that.
Right. Yeah. And
the only honorable way to be a human in this world, according to Michael Saylor,
it's ridiculous.
It was, is to own Bitcoin and then die with it and take it to the grave with you. And now you've enriched the other people who are also the most virtuous humans in the world. So.
Yeah, it's a little nutty take on things, I think. I also liked Wake Dog's comment that he sends all his taxes to the Ukraine. I think the subtext there is not by choice. That your taxes probably end up going there. But, God bless the USA.
Well, and then we heard Richard Hart in a Twitter Spaces, was it 3 days ago now? And that was part of the adventure of BitBoy showing up on location in the Bahamas, stalking the founder of FTX, who lost $10 billion worth of people's money, Sam Bankman-Fried, who was like hiding in his mega resort condo apartment while BitBoy was like building the resistance. Some local authorities he teamed up with and did a bunch of AMAs, got tons of views. I mean, it was very, very actually entertaining from what I caught. He was streaming on YouTube and Twitter. And I mean, we're seeing now with Twitter and with Elon Musk, like, being a champion of free speech. We're seeing like Mario on the Twitter Spaces. We're seeing BitBoy. We're seeing people who maybe don't have super clear records themselves of never promoting a scam, but they're out there trying to report on it in a way that we're not getting from the mainstream media, which I find just exciting on a lot of different levels. Don't want to get carried away and just, because on BitBoy's stream where he's hunting down Sam Bankman-Fried, he's got a link to a centralized exchange. So these guys haven't cleaned up their act completely yet. But
I didn't see that. Just tell me it's like Coinbase or something at least. It's not like, oh no.
Let me see.
What the fuck? Yeah, he needs to do better with that. But God bless him. I mean, to me, I feel like it's a redemption story. It's like I always thought BitBoy was funny. And it's like I remember like an early stream with Richard. And I mean, I knew of him before that, but even with the stream with Richard, it's like his humor I find funny. But it's like it's a redemption story. It's like, he was doing stuff the shitty way.
But it's not a redemption story because look at what we have here. We got a BitGet link. What do you think that is?
Well,
what do you think that
is? That the competition though that they've been talking about? Because there's a trading competition over there. But I guess more or less you got
to trade. Use this link to trade with us on BitGet, an exchange that puts users in security first. Well, so he didn't learn his lesson. He's still on the take, and nothing has changed.
Well,
we did get Richard Hart commenting on when the bottom could be in, and he said, "Who knows? It could be in a month from now."
Yep. Did you see where Richard called in? Like on this stream, I don't know where it was. I should have bookmarked it, but Richard called in, and BitBoy was asking him like why Richard doesn't follow him.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that. That was great. That was awesome.
Great. And the answer, go ahead.
He doesn't follow anybody that's not a Richard Hart maximalist.
That's right.
Like just, it's like no, nothing personal, bro. It's just like
and BitBoy was like, "But Richard, we're friends in real life. We've hung out. We went to a concert together."
Yep.
And Richard was like, "I don't care."
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the thing where it's like Richard's like in a enviable spot where it's like he doesn't have to do any of this type of stuff. Like, I mean, BitBoy's got like 60 employees. He's built this business, with all these employees counting on him and stuff. And it's like, and it's tough if you're not taking, the easy money. And he has cleaned up a large portion of that. Obviously, if he's got this fucking BitGet link down there, that's not great. But, I mean,
how do we know he's cleaned any of it up?
Well, I mean, it seems like he's not getting paid to shill in particular coins anymore. Or if he is, then that'll be a scandal of its own at this point, especially because, I mean, talk about hypocrisy. It would be horrendous. But, if that's true, and I mean, the latest statements I heard from him was that he does not do paid advertisement anymore. So for individual coins, but exchanges and stuff. And I know that he's got a guy on his show. It's like Frankie Candles or something. And he's a TA guy, right? So, I mean, I like the TA stuff. So I, pay attention to some of that and it's not bad. And he like won another trading competition recently. And like, he's part of the BitBoy team that's in this new trading competition. So it's like, you got to realize it's like, there's so many people that haven't found their way to things like HEX yet and understand the benefits, like financially, typically, and psychologically to stake and chill. That are still out there chasing the next hot coin. They're looking for their next 100x. They're hoping that maybe they get lucky and get a 10,000x. And we all know the odds of that, right? And that's the vast majority of people that come into crypto, and that's his audience. So it's like, it would be great for him to be the other way.
If he's not taking money anymore, then why isn't he talking about HEX?
He does occasionally. He's still occasionally he'll talk about it, but he's very guarded. Because the thing is, I mean, it's funny too. It's like he talked about so many things that ended up being obvious fucking scams, and some of those probably he got paid for, So it's so funny that like he's still tiptoes around talking about HEX because he still doesn't quite want to put himself out there like that. It's like, give me a fucking break, bro. It's like, I mean, 3 years, flawless operation, what else do you need to know,
Did you guys see this one? This young lady is like some sort of viral TikToker or something.
Oh yeah. She's got like 500,000 followers or something, or maybe more than that.
Yeah. She's gotten probably hundreds of millions of views with some of the videos that she does. Really kind of niche stuff, but like she can use her feet to shoot a bow and
That
arrow
was
Okay.
amazing to watch.
while she's upside down riding on
I mean,
while
I
she's
watched.
upside down riding on a skateboard.
Dude,
I
if
watch.
some-
I watch.
if somebody
videos
cut that
like
up
all the
right, that
time.
could be really bad.
Mm.
Have you seen it, Crispy?
I did watch it. Like I said,
That's a trip.
I purposely seek out upside down skateboarding.
There
Yeah,
she
this
was.
is it right here.
Oh,
Nice.
crazy! God bless her. That's a
So
That's
she can.
tough.
So she's shooting. Yeah,
bow and arrow upside down.
upside
get
down.
Oh, and hit the target, a moving
Yes.
target nonetheless.
Yeah,
While
moving
she's
target.
moving, that's
That
pretty.
she is also moving.
Wow, that's pretty good. God bless her, talented young lady.
Genetics.
Yeah, and she is getting the word out about Richard all of a sudden. That's weird.
And she's down with.
Yeah, I
psilocybin.
had seen. Was it Hex Vivid? Maybe it was Hex Vivid. I don't remember. I had seen a tweet with her saying that maybe I don't know how she knew, but that Shannon is now a Hexagon. So,
Yeah,
Hmm.
HVid
Yeah.
did that. I don't know if that's how you say her name, but HVid.
How do you
Hex,
say
like
it?
it's HVIID. So I'm not sure how you. I mean, where's our Denmark peeps? How do you say that? Hvid Hex. I don't know. Obviously, it's not her name, but there it
Hvid.
is.
Yeah. So I don't know why I think Hexvid when I see that, but that's what I thought.
Yeah. But she's
Hvid.
blown up, bro. It's like she's got 11,500 followers and only been around for less than a year. It's good.
Yeah, and her but her actual engagement is like really
It's
high.
Really good.
It's
She's
really
grinding.
high.
Like she's.
Yes,
I mean, this
here
is
it
like a
is.
job to her. Yeah. There you go.
So she's getting just on these viral tweets that she's made, she's getting hundreds of thousands of impressions, tens of thousands of engagements. I mean, that's really, really wild. Like
That's awesome.
I think my highest impressions that I've done on a tweet was like maybe 70 or 80,000 impressions and
Damn.
like maybe 5,000 engagements, which is still like really, really good. So this is exciting for me to see as a fellow
Cool.
creator.
I got like 14 once
14
impressions.
sounds
I
like
got-
a false joke.
I had -7. Does that count?
Oh wow.
People like deleted their Twitter after.
With that. I'm like,
Yeah, but she's done great. I mean, and she, like, I've chatted with her before. She's super smart girl, obviously lovely young lady. But she's like, I mean, she treats it like a job. Like, I mean, it's like, she is
Yeah.
dedicated to like really, pushing what she feels about all this stuff out there. So I'm proud to call her a friend. But yeah, I think that might be the one there where she's talking about her becoming a Hexagon. Yeah, she's now a member of Hex. That's the one. Good find, Maddie.
Yeah, this is cool. So
She might. I mean, if she goes like hardcore Hex, she might give Super Hex Win a run for the money as the biggest Hex TikToker. Like if
For
she
sure.
really makes it
Yeah.
part of her regular repertoire, then he's got some competition. And it's great to see so many Hexagons over there on Twitter now. It's kind of like the algorithm, being what it is. Now it's like I love Hexagons and I get it, but it's like if I'm on TikTok, it's because I'm just want some mindless scrolling. But I'll be goddamn if not every other TikTok that comes up now is a Hexagon, because it's like I've followed a bunch of them, so now the algorithm knows, and it's like so it's feeding me more Hex. It's like I have enough. I have enough Hex content in my life. It's like let me go somewhere where I can just scroll through stupid dance videos and like whatever, and watch something else. But there's a ton over there now. It's like because I was beating that drum a long time ago that like more people needed to get over there with him, and it's happening. It's like I mean Richard's even got a TikTok. I don't know if he does it himself, but he's got a TikTok. It's like Richard Hart Diamond or something, I think. But it's important to get out there on all channels if you're going to be serious about it.
I posted my first TikTok this past week.
Oh, did you really? What's your
sister
handle?
helped me learn. My sister helped me learn a little bit about TikTok. So for all of you who, like, can't wait to see the 6-second video that I
Yes.
posted,
I need it.
all the content that will come.
Please.
TikTok.com/allinhex.
All in Hex, cool.
That's it. And all the other accounts that I made on there that I forgot the password to, don't follow those.
Dude, I tell you what, it's like there was I put a little clip of my Hexaco music video over there, and I fucked around with like little symbols around it and whatever. And I'll be damned if like I got a bunch of views, and then they did like a copyright strike thing, but they didn't take it down. So all they do is fuck the music up to where it is horrible. Like if you listen to it, it just sounds like a really shitty recording of it. But they left it up. So I like did it again. Like I just did a new post. And like I reached out, I did all the channels. I sent them copies of the license, that it was a parody. I did everything I was supposed to do. I cannot get anybody to reply to me to like take the strike down. So it's like, oh, whatever. So I mean, I've got like 5 videos on TikTok. It's like I'm there as a spectator, not as a creator. But all in Hex. I'm gonna
all in Hex. That's right.
I'm gonna find you and follow you right now. But it's addictive, Maddie. I'm warning you. It's like
I'm not gonna be consuming TikTok.
Don't do it.
That's
Don't
above
do
my
it.
pay grade.
Dude, you'll get stuck there forever. It's crazy.
As far as yeah, because there's ways that you can. I guess that people do this. They clip their YouTube, or they have a social media manager that clips the YouTube, and then you run it through TikTok. TikTok adds music, this and that, and then I think you can usually post that to Instagram. Now Instagram starts to limit some of the music you can use. And so there's all these decisions you have to make about how, because for something to blow up on TikTok, it really needs to have music behind it, because it's a dance music platform.
Do you know what you ought to do?
And that stops you from being able to share it on YouTube for sure. Will limit you. So some hexagons like Super Hex Win doesn't add music,
right? And
then probably can feed it into more places. Whereas for me, I'm not sure yet. I'm still learning. But
well, I know that was a thing like way back when Hexa was like on D Live, and then he had his first YouTube channel and stuff. I think there was something where basically it was like simulcast. So like whatever you're doing, it would just like automatically put it on these other platforms. So I wonder if there's a similar type of thing with like, because now there's like TikTok, and then there's YouTube Shorts, and then there's Instagram Reels, and it's all the same shit. It's all these little short form videos. It's like Vine. Vine was cool. I loved Vine. And then for whatever reason, Vine went away. And then we have just copycats of TikTok now across the other major platforms. And then there's even like a Facebook Stories, I think it's all the same shit. So I wonder if like you did a TikTok, if it could simultaneously put it to your Facebook and put it to your thing and whatever. It's like, you know, I'm not doing that shit, but it's like if someone was, you know, getting their content out there as broadly as they could. And then the thing that I found interesting about TikTok, and it's a total shit show most of the time, is there's TikTok Live, where you will just find rando people talking about whatever all hours of the day and night on TikTok Live. And some of them will have thousands of people engaging with them, listening to whatever the hell they're doing. A freaking, you know, it's almost like a Johnny Chaos thing, where they'll be doing like crazy, like Halloween makeup, or a guy will be playing music, and then he'll take requests from like the people. And I always thought like, man, it's like, we need somebody that can just talk endlessly about Hex to like go do a live and just do it and see if it gets shut down because it's crypto related. I don't know. I haven't seen anybody do the TikTok live part, but there's plenty of crypto on TikTok generally. So I don't know why it would get swatted down on live.
Cool. Yeah, that's all good stuff. I hope we can follow up on those things as a community. I know I like IFTTT. It stands for like if this then that. Is a pretty cool app that allows things to be automated. And so, yeah, it's just something I'm going to be experimenting with. But seeing as, you know, we've got more women joining the community who are, you know, breaking out and already doing such good work on social media, it's all good stuff to keep up with.
Yep. And then, Maddie, I know you were doing like a series or a course of some course, like somehow teaching people how to become YouTubers, more or less. Are you still working on that?
I'm just kind of like seeing how much I can do, And yeah, but there's a Telegram room, and I think like people are helping each other in there.
Cool.
I hope they're not scamming each other. When you leave people in charge, you hope that it works out right. But it's just hex t.me/hex YouTube. So that's the resource, and that's where I will post my tutorials.
Yeah, right on. I will join that group, check it out. But yeah, it's like all that information just to kind of broaden your reach and like help inspire and encourage other people to like have, a way to share their own voice is good stuff. Oh no. Yeah. Actually, as I was saying it, I'm like, that's kind of me, but I can't, I don't know, man. It's hard. I mean, it's like, I love Matt. It's like, honestly, it's like, I love coming on here with Crispy and Maddie, but it's like, a lot of this is like almost like a personal favor to Maddie. Cause it's like, he asks me and I'm never going to tell Maddie no. Cause it's like, I love Maddie and it's like, and I have fun doing it, but it's like, dude, I mean, maybe we'll go for a couple hours in here sometimes, but it's like that. I mean, I'm tapped. I don't know how Maddie and some of these other guys that are putting out hours and hours of content every week. It's like, I'm spent. Like when I'm done here, I'm just like,
just practice.
Yeah,
practice. I guess. The chat still loves you. So.
Well, good. I just sometimes I feel like I talk too much, but it's like
we have some exciting things to hear from Crispy.
Please.
I think that's the next segment.
God bless you.
Do you think so?
Yeah,
I'm waiting eagerly.
Well, Toby, have you ever heard of something called a TShare?
Like a Toby share?
Like a TShare.
TShare.
And Hex.
Not a T-shirt. Not like a T-shirt.
Like no, a TShare.
A TShare. Got it.
TShare.
Okay. Please tell me more.
Hey, so Maddie, I want to show the Hexfire site. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
We do that. So I was playing around with this. I guess two main things, right? That I wanted to look at, and one is just TShares overall, which is kind of fun. Oh, I could have driven. I'm sorry, Maddie. But this is cool. You can do this. So, hey, go to just go over to charts real quick. There's one place to go look at this, and you just go look at the share rate. Estimated share rate in the middle top. Oh, wrong one. Like how I do that, make you reload the whole thing again. Huh? So go to charts, center top.
Okay.
And oh, there it is. Okay, just go ahead and hit base model without OA. Just kind of give people a heads up here. And so if you see the slider on the top, go ahead and slide it down so it's the top one under the dates. You can just slide those dates together.
Okay.
And bring it to 2022. As we. Yeah, that's probably okay. And then bring the 35 down, or you could type it in whenever you want to do. Keep going a little bit further. That'll probably do it. All right. So I think a lot of people have already heard this spiel, but we are tracking the the share rate changes pretty good, and it's pretty cool to do it this way because it's math, right? So it's not like some super AI intelligence, right, for us to figure this stuff out. People made stakes in the past. We see what kind of payouts they're getting. There's a calculation in an immutable code. It's not a prediction, other than, we do make some assumptions about what payouts might be in the future. Excuse me. I meant to get on mute for that. Anyways, so you can see the Hopper multiple is tracking pretty well with this when we look at it, and also our NSRs. And so we do, it goes up. That goes up into the right. No mystery for everybody else, right? And by the end of next year, we'll be up at 30,000, and it continues. All right. One of the things I've seen some people talking about is, the difference between that purple and the light line that's there. we have stakes that are OA related stakes, we believe. I don't really know. This is based on someone told me this list was, OA to order addresses. When I look at them, they look like them. We've got some addresses that we know are staked that we think are OA addresses. That being the case, if those were ended, they usually will increase the rate. And we've just gone past a few, and we're in the middle of that right now, that are ending, or at least their end dates are up, but no action is being taken. And so think of it as a fork in the road. We could either follow the little light line up, or we can go very high. And so since there's no action on the OA account, we're going to see that it'll just track this little white line.
So, Crispy, are those stakes bleeding out, or?
Yeah, that's the next topic. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're not bleeding yet.
Okay. Because I know John Wick did a good accounting thing a while back, and it jumped the TShare rate.
Yeah. All right. So let's bring Maddie. So Maddie, let me ask if anybody has any questions about this. Right. So I think we've gone over it before. I've talked about it a lot. The reason these things look like steps out in the future, and they're not on an angle, is because we just don't have enough stakes yet to outperform some of the older stakes. But as soon as they do, it just angles right up. And this trajectory brings us to a really nice number of about 30,000, probably by the end of next year, which is pretty substantial, But all right. So here's a little bit of alpha. Let's go back to the main screen, Maddie, if you can do that. And let's go back to charts, and we're going to visualize HEX daily stats. So hit charts. All right, visualize HEX daily stats in the center. It's the one that's really, really busy. And let's go to total TShares. That one right there. And
do I just zoom in on it, or?
No, on the right-hand corner, you're going to see a little opening where you can expand it. So this was by request that we reversed. I reversed this today. So it's actually, even though the number is going down, apparently this is more impactful when people see it. It registers the brain differently. But we've been seeing a decrease in the TShares, which you can see in a couple different charts and also on HEX daily stats. So a little bit of alpha is, I do think, we're already below the lowest number of TShares that we've ever had since right before Big Payday. And I think that's going to continue. So we're sitting around somewhere around 10,360. Let me look at the numbers at the moment. Yeah, so we closed out the day at 10,358,000, and it's gone up a little bit. However, what's happening is we got a boatload of TShares coming out, both from the OA, and this is what Toby was saying. Something like 50, 60,000 TShares from the OA, as well as normal stakers. And as we all know, when people serial stake, they can't get as many TShares, right? And we were talking about that earlier. And so I think we'll probably breach 10,300,000. Now, when somebody does the numbers, here's a bias for you. When you do the numbers on what does it matter if we're 100,000 less or not, you look at it, it's not that much, right? And it probably isn't that much HEX when you look at individual stakes. But when you look at a staking ladder, it suddenly starts making huge differences in the amount of yield. And I think our average yield, and if you want to back out one page from here, Maddie, we can go to the payouts and see what the averages have been. It's towards the bottom, I believe. Oh, you know what? Go back up one more page for me. You can just hit the back button, and we'll go back to charts.
And Crispy, if people want to see this, it's just hexfire.io.
Yeah, this is hexfire.io.
Okay.
So towards the bottom, you're going to see a payout chart.
Payout per
Yeah,
TShare?
yeah, per TShare, yeah. And you can see what our averages have been. If you just highlight over the current day. So let's do, you see how it says actual towards the top in the little legend?
Yeah.
Yeah, just click on it. It'll highlight that one for you so you can see it. Okay, and it already is. And then if you hover over, it'll give you the averages. But you can see what the different averages are. And I've got a couple different ways on the site, but it's pretty high, you know. We got some pretty high averages. And what I think we're beginning to see is we're really beginning to see that deflationary flywheel. And this is not that they'll always be deflationary, because people can come in and do more staking, right? There's
Yes.
lots of hacks, but there's only so many TShares that can ever be created, and there's a theoretical limit that I was talking with Ninad about in Telegram, kind of going through that. And so every day that passes, and as the TShare rate goes up, the absolute maximum number of TShares continues to come down, right? And so
Yes.
we will hit a squeeze point, probably 27, 28, where things will just be kind of insane. But this shows those going on. So I guess here's a little bit of alpha for people that might be worried in the bear market that are stakers. If you're staked, we're continuing to see the payouts rise. We're continuing to see a downtrend of these, of the shares. Okay, we're continuing to see longer stakes on average. Prompted in part by some of the derivative stuff that's going on. So we're seeing all these very positive things. I mean, it gets to be really bullish. So if the gold guy's listening, I can understand why he might trade it all as gold, right? Because you have all these really, really positive things that are happening that are all converging, and this is in the bear. And so,
Yes.
yeah, it's an ongoing slow motion thing, but it's all very bullish for us, right? So
Hey,
to kind of bring,
I
okay,
have a question or kind of an add to this. I think this is the kind of stuff that, guys like Jim Rat and some other people that just don't understand the depth of the long-term aspects of this thing. When we say that there are future whales and future, sharks and dolphins, that doesn't necessarily mean that's somebody that comes in with a huge bag of gold and buys their position into that now. It's that because as those T-shares get more and more expensive, and whether or not those people, as those stakes in, choose to restake and try to retain their share rate, you're never going to get T-shares as cheap as you are now. So if your goal is to stack as many T-shares as you can now for as long as you can, it's like Kareem's thing always. Get the big 555 stake out there first, and then backfill your ladder. All of that is, and it's like, if you look at that thing that Bree made, that Juan and I kind of cleaned up, the spreadsheet that was kind of the precursor to StakeHex today. The whole thinking behind that was like, to show people that, yeah, your T-shares max out at 10 years, but what you make from year 10 to 15 on that same number of T-shares because of this very dynamic is mind-blowing. And and it's really just difficult. I mean, for me, it was like I couldn't wrap my head around it until I saw it in a spreadsheet, and then I was like, oh shit, and I really saw the effect of those T-shares as time goes on.
Well, I think nothing against anybody in particular. I know you brought up a couple names. I do think there's less understanding. People want things to happen immediately. They don't want to delay gratification. So that's one thing right out of the gate. The second thing is, to some extent, it's kind of an excuse, right? All the OGs already got it.
Right.
Right. I hear that a lot, right? I see that a lot. And I understand it. What I don't think they understand is that we're getting timed out. Okay, we're OGs, but we're getting timed out. What does that mean? Well, I didn't make Cuatro Cinco stakes for every stake, dude. So you know what? Everyone that expires is gone forever, right? So unless I keep coming back and I continue to participate, which is the genius of an immutable contract and this product, I lose my place. See you later. I go down the river, man. And you will be the person left here if you're continuing to participate or you're the newer guy. It's the same thing with the yield and all the rest. There's always going to be meat on the bone. Anyways, but to your question, I think that it's hard for some people who are looking for overnight millions to figure out that this is a long game.
Yeah, and so what, you know, one of the concepts that I had come up with at one point was I called TShare years. So while people are focused mostly on the count of TShares that they have, people aren't always comparing how long they're going to have those TShares. And what you'll find is that, you know, you could get squeezed out in the middle where you're a dolphin, you know, who only has 1,000 TShares for a year or for 5 years or something. And by the time you get to that point where those shares can get turned into liquid HEX, and then you have to decide whether you want to take your gains or rebuy your TShares. Rebuying your TShares could be 5 times more expensive than it was to begin with. You could be getting less TShares, especially if you don't have big payday or something. And so, so the deflationary nature of TShares and just the fact, I mean, you know, like I said earlier in the program, if you want to choose today between getting a TShare that's a little bit under $700 and one ETH that's a little bit under $700, that's on the, you know, one ETH worth of Grayscale, you know, which one is getting more scarce at a faster rate? And it's you know, you know, which one was $7 a couple years ago, or well, 3 years ago now? You know, only the TShare was. And so the TShare has gone from $7 on day 3 of HEX to being, you know, $700 now. And, you know, so that's one of the multiple compound factors that are going on here that allow HEX to give you, when you time lock it, a share of the future compound interest in the greatest appreciating asset class in history, crypto. That's pretty cool. And Hexfire.io is like, again, like huge shout out to you, Crispy. Is like just such an amazing site, because we've been curious about how all this would play out. And so it's really nice to have an easier way to look at the data.
We're trying. Do this for me, Maddie, on this, and thank you. I don't take compliments really well. Will you, if you click on the HEX, not HEX, the Hopper multiple HX estimate on the screen, there's a little diamond, a little bit up to the top there. Yep, right there. Click on that so we can highlight it out. Okay. What I wanted to show you is this is, and this is for other people seeing this. This will make everybody go nuts too. The Hopper multiple is this, and I won't say it correctly. Hopper will get it right. HX stands for Hopper multiple. Who's Hopper? Hopper's a guy. He's a mathematician. Yeah, actually, pretty varied background. He's on Twitter as well. Hopper Life. And I had collaborated with him to come up with one of the models, which matches very well what's actually happening. And what it is, it's an equation, a math equation that says on this day, TShare rate will be this based on how the system operates. And so when we look at those two on the TShare rate, we see kind of a little bit of a gap between them. And what's happening is his is a pretty standard, because it's a set equation, It's pretty well set. And what we're seeing is our, the actual just keeps coming up and coming up and coming up to it. And that's why when you look at that, you can see different numbers. All right. Anyways, it's been very, very, very accurate, like almost dead on so far. From that, we created the Hopper estimate payout model. And I did talk with Patrick about this as well and kind of get his opinion before we did it. And what you're seeing on the screen, when you go past the actuals that are on the left, past the current day, and you start going further out, you'll see that we really do think it's possible that these payouts will go up at this rate. And so that, sometime maybe in 27, we can be at 12, for instance. Now, anything can happen. I don't know. We could have a lot more adoption, a lot less adoption. I don't know what could happen. But we really do think these might be the numbers that we'll be looking at.
Wow.
And so when you're looking at payout like that per TShare, it's pretty crazy. And it can actually begin to be adjusted further by staking activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we do suddenly have, like, we had a couple guys, it's not like some mass exodus. We had a couple big guys just get out in the last couple weeks, right? Well, that affects things, right? Because it knocks out the TShares. Yeah. 20, 30 hex.
Well, and that kind of speaks to Maddie's TShare years thing as well, because if you're dropping off of that map in 2027, when the yield per TShare per day is at under 10, and then those TShares that you're holding for further out are actually worth even more, because that TShare rate continues to, that hex per TShare per day rate continues to climb.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I'm staring at the screen too. So pretty interesting stuff. So Maddie, here, now let's go get exciting.
All right.
More exciting, right? Go to the just the hex staking data. My throat's for some reason getting dry now that we've been sitting here, right? So this is where we can actually go look and see what stakes have actually are still open or closed or whatever the status is. And so if you go to the expected end date and just change it, well, actually, just leave it alone. That's fine. Just leave it alone. This will do it. Hit GA no at the top, so it's not a good, no good accounted stakes, and ended not ended. Okay, so this will give you an idea of all the stakes that are out there. It'll take a moment to load because it's a large data set. But it'll give you an idea of all the stakes that are out there.
Wow.
Right, that could be ended. So
Look at this.
Now this is all in all time, right? So now if you take our expected end date and just make it today for the latest date. So on the left-hand side, a little bit over further. Nope, go back over to the left.
Hey, Crispy, do you mind just kind of, for me, if no one else, just say that again, like go 30 seconds back in your speech. Okay, I've got lights in my face. It's dark in here. I've got headphones on. My fiance was trying to get my attention. She was off to the side. I didn't hear her. So she walked around in front of me. I'm straight in front of me is black because I've got lights right here. So, and all of a sudden I see this person moving. So it's probably hilarious if you look at it. It's like, I'm sure I looked fucking terrified for a split second. And then I had to tag out for a second. So I missed the big reveal.
Yeah, sure. This is just, this is a staking panel. And so, it's what I call the hex staking data panel or visual. Okay.
This is
and
really,
what it does,
really cool.
it just allows you to look at all the stakes that have ever been made. We're getting ready to incorporate HSI information in there too, so we can actually tell, which stakes have been made by HSI or been made by Maximus or whatever. And I have that little owner panel on the side. Yes, we have 720,000 stakes that have been made at this point. And so what I just had Maddie do is change the expected end date to be the maximum of today. And then say, you know, don't show me anything that's been GA'd and don't show me anything that's been ended already. An expected end date is the date you promised, right? So I'm not looking at any early end stakes or anything like that. So we have 34,000, almost 35,000 stakes open. You know, if I've got this correct, all right. And so we show up on this filter, and you can see that it's about 85,000 TShares showing on this panel. Anyways, so what you're able to do, I'll have to go back and check some of this and make sure it's correct. What you're able to do is go through here, and you can look at each of the individual records and also go through over to Etherscan if you want to do a little bit more detail. And it gives you kind of like the staking panel kind of view from hex.com. Now, Maddie, up on the right-hand side, do you see something called OA listed there? I can't see it because the game theory gang's over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead and click OA. All right. So these are a couple of the stakes that we're waiting for to be either good accounted or ended from what we think are. This goes to your question, Toby. So we've got probably another 25,000, you know, TShares from maybe OA related addresses that can be ended today. But now, Maddie, if you drag your expected end date out a couple days, you'll see that it'll expand about 50, 60,000. Okay. So so we look at the current TShares today at 10,350,ish, 360,000. Good accounting, these stakes will remove 50,000 right off the top. So we're going to get really close to being down below 10,300,000.
Wow.
If not a little bit further, with everyone else who's churning. You know, because there's other stakes ending as well. So anyways, that's one thing that people can go look at. And then the other
what I like about this, in case, because you didn't talk about those columns in particular, but this reminds me of the spreadsheet that I had, and the stake cost versus current value.
That's what I'm looking at.
You know, and we're like at a crazy low right now. So that's based on current value versus the stake cost.
Let's see how many people
Not a bad multiple.
How many people do we have watching us? A lot of people.
How many do we have? 100 people?
Yeah, we have 91 watching at this moment. Normally 1,000 to 2,000 on the replay.
All right, so maybe we'll show some alpha. I'll show you some fun stuff. All right, so this is pretty cool because you can dig into it and you can go research further onto it. Maddie, probably because you didn't see this, you know, a lot of people ask me about being able to download the information.
Mm-hmm.
And because I'm doing this for free through a license that I own, I'm doing it correctly, you know, with Microsoft. They don't allow people to export. But what you can do is, let's say you wanted these stakes that are up here, you can select each one of the lines and hold Control and select multiple lines, right click and copy selection. And so if you were to copy at the bottom and selection, you can go over to Excel and just drop it in. So cool. You might not want to do that for 100,000 records because it doesn't allow us to do things like like a control, you know, shift thing or anything like that, but you can do that.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, very, very nice.
I think I probably need a mint or something. Huh? So you know what it is? It's that damn apple cider vinegar. I bet you that's what's doing it.
Yeah.
All right. So Maddie, let's do this. Let's go to the advanced staking data panel.
Okay, advanced staking data panel.
Now this is the one I updated today for the unclaimed hex. So click unclaimed. So right now we are accruing a pretty good amount of penalties daily. You know, something like 3 million a day that are unrealized. And then, you know, people can go read about the good accounting function here or on Hex Wiki or some of the other sites to truly understand it. But when a stake ends, gets to its end date, your agreement, you as the staker, you agreed you were going to end it on time. You have 2 weeks to end it. If you go beyond 2 weeks, your stake will begin to be penalized 1% per week. Okay, so for another 100 weeks, it'll be you know, debited. That's quite a long time. It takes a long time to actually bleed completely out. It's almost 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is we have these stakes that come in, and they, you know, somebody doesn't claim them. They don't end them, and because they're not ended, their TShares take up place, take up yield. Right? Nobody gets paid the yield for those. The stakes are done. They don't get any more yield. You don't get the yield as a staker because they're taking up too much space, and they just sit there. And the contract keeps track of the days and accrues what the penalty will be over time.
Mm-hmm.
For those stakes to ever yield their penalty or to get their hex out, either the owner has to come back and end it, or someone else has to GA it, or the owner can GA it.
So Crispy, if it's someone that's like those that are highlighted that are 100% burned, like they're too late, like it bled all the way out.
Yeah, they're completely done. Yep.
Yeah. So in that case, is that late hex penalty distributed to existing stakers, or not until that stake is good accounted?
Not until it's good accounted.
Well, shit, Maddie, we only need like what, $700,000. Is that right? Or it's, what is it? $10 in gas fee per 7,000. What's that work out to? 70 grand.
Don't
70
do
grand?
kinetics. Don't
70.
do kinetics.
We can just go account all those, right?
Well, no. What you end up doing is now. So there's a group of people, and this is a whole nother game theory. There's always
It's a side game.
Yeah. There's a side game here. Because this is what you see here is fruit on the tree, meat on the bone. Okay, what does that mean? What are you talking about? Well, there are stakes for everything from 1 hex to 1,000,000 hex, right? It makes absolutely no sense today to go do one for 1 hex, but yeah, and even 0 hex in some cases, because the smart people like you, Maddie, we did the hearts, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense today to end those, but maybe when hex is $1 million, it makes sense to end them, you know, to get a good account of them and get them distributed. So there's a break point. So probably 20% of them are worthwhile to end. But even then, who gets the benefit of those being good accounted? Well, one argument is I'm not going to pay for it because I'm a little guy, and I'm not, even if it's fit, you know, gas prices change a lot, so it could be $20, $30. It all depends on the timing. I'm not going to pay $30 to distribute this out because I don't have TShares, because I'm not going to get it back. So that's one viewpoint. The other viewpoint is, you know what? I have enough TShares that if I do one, I actually get more than $10 back. Maybe that's true. You know, so there are different games. And so it benefits people who are probably high dolphin or sharks today to do this. But later, it will benefit anybody who had come into the system afterwards.
Wow.
So it's kind of cool. So you can see there's now some of these have already been good accounted. I went and checked them because there are some people actively bringing this list down. We used to be at about 99,000 total that could be good accounted, and we were varied around that 100,000 realm, and it was like a billion hex, but that's all gone away at the moment. But people can come in here and figure out which ones can be good accounted. And if you wanted to actually go do that, like I said, somebody's doing it. I mean, somebody's been knocking off the OA ones and
Thank
all
you.
all the high ones. Yeah, whoever's done it, thank you. Might be John Wick. But if you did want to do it, you can actually go good account stakes on backuphex.com as one example, or you can actually interact with the Etherscan IO.
I did that for the Pulse Longevity whale before he bled out all the way. That was fun.
Would it not be net positive if you, like for example, the OA stakes that are sitting there that just are ready to end? Would it not be more beneficial for the majority of people for that to bleed out?
More game theory for you, man. Yes and yes. So yes and no. All right. I mean, yeah, whichever way you want to say it. So let's say I have a very big stake that's coming out in 2 days. Is it beneficial to me for you to wait to do that? Or is it beneficial to me to do it today? Well, maybe you have to do the numbers on it, but maybe it's beneficial to me to do it today, to good account it today, and not let it bleed because it frees up those TShares, and I have enough TShares that I get an extra amount of yield. But generally, right, we've come to this understanding as a community that you should wait the 102 weeks and only do 100,000, 100% bleds
Right.
stakes. I can tell you 100% that's not happened. so
people are good at counting them earlier.
Yeah, because it swings those TShares.
Got it.
Now, we sometimes go up 10,000 TShares in a day. So even looking at the ones that are 100%, I mean, what's 4,000 TShares?
Right.
You
Well,
know,
also, like if someone jumps the gun and does one that's like at 80% or something, it's like if someone's let it bleed that far, that's likely a lost wallet or somebody's in prison or they died or who knows what. So in a
Sometimes.
way, it's kind of, I mean, it could be a situation where they come back around and they're like, oh my God, it's like I've got some liquid hex here. Thank God someone bailed me out and I had some of it retained. But
Well, every one of them has a story, man. And you
Oh,
can go
sure.
and you go look at it because you look at some of them and you're like, this guy's transacting today. Why? I mean, listen, now it's too late for these because they're bled out.
Right.
But there was a time where this was, these were worth 60 grand, 100 grand. So what the hell was going on in these people's minds? Well, 3Ds, death, disinterest, drug abuse. I don't know. Pick a D, pick some other reason why they wouldn't be looking. Divorce. I don't know.
Right.
They lost their seed phrase. One of the most curious ones, and Richard's talked about this in the past, is if you see the days that are 350, that's pretty odd, right? I mean, what is 350? Well, 350
Bitcoin.
were the Bitcoin claimers. So
Yeah.
people who didn't read the pamphlet, there was no pamphlet, but people who didn't read and understand what was going on, they just went, oh, I'm gonna go free claim. They free claimed. Well, the way it worked, and Maddie will tell you this, is I free claimed. I got 10% minted liquid, went into my wallet. Okay. The other 90% had to be staked for 350 days. I had a certain period of time, I think it was the same day. I had that day to go stake the remaining 90%. And I could stake it for as long as I wanted, but it had to be a minimum for 350 days. If you totally skip that part, right, then what happens is the system auto staked you for 350. So now imagine this, because we know how all these things work and DeFi, and even then it was even less understandable, right? Because now we've been around a little bit. You push a button to sign your BTC address, you get your coins, you know, as the free claim. You swap them out, and you have no other transaction. It doesn't say, nothing else says to you, I have a stake. You would have to go look for the stake. You'd have to go on the panel, look on hex.com. How do you even know you have a stake if you didn't read? So off they went. They went their merry way. They sold their hex. Some of them didn't even take the hex. I mean, if you go to some of these addresses, you'll see that it's still there. Anyway, so when you see the 350s, those are quite interesting because that represents BTC free claimers mostly.
Hey,
And based on the amount of hex that they may have free claimed, it tells you a little bit about how much Bitcoin they may have had.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Dummies.
A lot of Bitcoin.
bunch of rich dummies.
Rich people out there.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you'd had to have three or four Bitcoin just to get maybe 169.
Yeah, well, I mean, wasn't it?
So
like
it was
10,000 hex per Bitcoin.
10,000 hex per Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I mean, like that top guy would have had to have 23 Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and there's bonuses and stuff, but yes.
Hey, all right. So being the math nerd I am, and it's like, and my fiance's jawing at me, and she sent the dog in here to harass me to get me off the stream, and I'm an hour past what I said I'd stay, but the math nerd in me is going crazy because it's like this should be easily quantifiable. Like if you picked one of these, you should be able to just break down the math on it and say, okay, if I go ahead and spend $11.26 or whatever on the gas, like what's the impact to my staking ladder, right?
You can,
like
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to do. I mean, like whenever, if you want to do that sometime, it'd just be, I think that would, I mean, for the math nerds out there, it's like just to take one of these, paste into an Excel spreadsheet and fuck around with it and say, okay, if you have this many TShares currently, this is the impact to you personally, you know, or whatever.
I think that, doing a calculate for me anyways, doing a calculator here would be problematic to allow everybody to just put in how many TShares. However,
yeah, I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying if you wanted to fuck around with it,
you do
like you said, you could copy and paste it and just play around. Yeah.
But we could throw something at the end that says how many TShares you need to have for it to break even.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
Now, but the only reason I haven't really gone into some of that, Toby, with this is because the damn gas fee changes.
Right, yeah.
So even this, I could tell you that it's break even if you have 1,000 TShares, and then tomorrow, or 5 minutes from now, it's 2,000 is break even. You know.
Yeah, the only way is like if you could have a field where you could actually put in the current gas fee, like they could go fuck around with it, see what the gas fee is, enter the gas fee, and then it would calculate out for them maybe. But still, there's so many. I mean, I know, dude. It's like there's so many rabbit holes. It's like you start saying, okay, well, if you want to break this down, then we can do that. It's like it gets crazy. I mean, this is already amazing. Like I love everything I've seen on this, and I've played around on here a little bit before. I just haven't played around with this particular thing at all. So this is really neat to see. And I hate to say it because it's like I love it. So I'm going to have to go back and watch because I have to, like I said earlier, I have to maintain my mental health, my physical health, and my relationship health. And if I stay on here any longer, I'm going to be in the doghouse. So
fair enough.
Yeah, but Maddie, thanks as always for inviting me on. Always a great time, man. I'll come on anytime. Just hit me up. Crispy, this is fucking fantastic, dude. Keep going because I want to learn more later when I have time to watch the rest of the stream. Cool guy.
Cool beans,
all right,
man.
and then whenever you want to do that Hexfire stream, again, let me know.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Take care, guys.
I'm ready to do another one now.
Well, maybe not tonight, but it's like, but I'm available. I mean, pretty much, I just got to regroup and get some juice back up. I've expelled some juju here, so I gotta regroup. Give me a couple days, and I'll be good.
All right, Toby.
All right, thanks everybody. See you later.
Take care.
Yeah, so people can fool around here and change the different values and whatnot, Maddie. Up at the top. And then
very cool.
The added alpha, for anybody who's listening or picks up on, if you go to the home page again, just hit the home. All right. I'm not sure how many people might have even seen these, but there are some Greek letters on the screen. So if you'd like, each one of them is a little Easter egg. If you want to hit the alpha,
Yeah.
these are kind of experimental pages because it's difficult to get everything on one page. So when I want to really dig in deep into something and see a lot of information on one page, it's kind of a mixed bag. But if people use this stuff and they have comments, you just shoot me a note and I can look at it. You can see I've expanded all sorts of different filters and whatnot
Wow.
in
Yeah.
here. So people can come in here and even see what their stakes NSR might be. You know, what do we think the NSR will be for a specific stake, which is new share rate.
Oh, cool. Wow.
So if you look at your stakes, you can see if you're a contender in that.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, because that's going to help me understand like the life of my TShare and then help me make the decisions I need to make about how to fill in my ladder going forward to try to play the game as best as I can.
Yeah. If you go to the left of the screen back to the menu, I did include a little arrow back at the bottom. That'll just give you a back arrow. It makes it a little easier so you don't have to reload the page. Now, if you go to the M, I think they just a shortcut to Maximus. So this one's a little bit, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried to turn it off. Maybe I coughed in your ear. Because mine, when I put this up, but it might not have got that far. So this is a little shortcut here. People, this is under work in progress. People can come here and look at that information and see, whether, there's some sort of premium or discount on the tokens.
Cool. Yeah, that's a lot of work, it looks like.
Yeah, the most common comment I get from people is that there's not enough hours in the day to go through all this stuff. But if you scroll to the bottom, I guess the bottom line is that right now Decimus and Lucky Trio and Base are all running at a very nice discount as opposed to the
They're
Hex
right
value.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have some work still to do on this one. If you go back one, use the back button again, and I'll show you the Omega. Now, this one might be fun for you. I think you'll like this one.
All right.
Go to Omega. Now, this is totally not formatted correctly yet.
All right.
You may want to bring the screen down a little bit, make it a little bit smaller, or hit the fit button on the bottom there to the right. I think there's a little screen fit right there.
Cool.
All right. So what I started doing, some people had said, hey, I really would like a my portfolio type of a view. And so this is an attempt at that, to be kind of like mega my portfolio. And so if you go to the owner block in the top right and just unclick blank in Maximus. So this essentially looks at all stakes. So this begins to give you an idea of what's going on in the entire system. And some of it, none of it's bad news, I don't think.
Okay.
It's not like it's information. It's not neither bad nor good, but some of it turns out to be super bullish, right?
Okay.
So you can look at the number of stakes, average stake lengths, and days, years, how much stake, etc. So I just kind of keep adding to this as people come up with new ideas about what they'd like to see. And again, it's always a matter of perspective, right? And you can see that we're currently, at least by my estimation from staking, 1.4 billion in the black.
Yeah.
Now,
bad.
if you're one of the guys with one of the 263,000 stakes, as I am one of those guys, right? That is underwater. Well, you know, you may not like it as much, but the 158 looks pretty good. The other thing I would say is some of this sometimes information is misleading. Remember when you restake, even like if you use like any of the apps or whatnot, they use the current price when you restake, not the price you entered in. They don't have any idea. So you have to take some of this with a grain of salt. But cool things to note are things like 180-day daily payout, 6.299 on average, man. 6.3. That's pretty big. And you can look at the cost basis for TShares and all these different things. So you'll probably look at this and go, what does this mean? You have a question, let me know. Or you might say, I really would like to know, something else, and maybe there'll be something else that'll come up. But if you have your own ladder or you want to look at your own ladder, you could drop your list in the filter by list box at the top and just look at your stakes.
Cool. Yeah, this is a lot of information.
And you'll see, and I think it was because of you that I ended up making this current league ranking. You notice how it looks towards the bottom area. This does say Prosperous Poseidon, right?
Oh yeah, there it is.
That was because of you.
Cool.
You can remember that conversation. So if you click origin address up at the top, it'll tell you what the origin address is as well. Okay, and yeah, that's the only group we think is there, and they'll tell you exactly, what's here.
Yeah, the origin address is in the black. Good to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, Prosperous Poseidon, and number of stakes made 3,700.
Allegedly, yep.
Really?
There's 3,300 addresses, right?
Really?
I can double check it. I mean, it could be wrong, but
I thought there were only like 13 OA addresses that staked. Is there more?
Well, but where can we go to see this? So let's go see, right? So we said that there's 3738. It could be that this is wrong, right? Because I might have made a mistake. Go ahead and hit the home button.
Okay.
And go back to our alpha button at the top. And then let's go ahead and select. Do I have OA related? Yeah. Do OA origin address up there. And let's unclick ended. You can either click both or have them both on there. And I don't see any other filters. If you go over to the HEX staking data, the actual list, if you hover over a filter button should show up on the right. You just hover on that. It'll tell you what's there. Okay, so its origin address is the only filter. So yes, we believe there are 3,738 stakes that were made that were OA related.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people say a lot of things that are weird, as you know, right? Because I get a crackpot theory, and they don't, every day. And, the people saying this stuff, they don't know any more than I do or you do. But this is a supposed list of addresses that are related. And if you look through the list, you'll see great many of these were all right around the big payday, right?
Okay. Okay. That's still a lot, though. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So that makes sense. Yeah. If there are thousands, so I thought it was. I thought it was after the big payday that the origin address went into granddaughter addresses or whatever, but must have been before then, huh?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I actually don't know enough about it, but and so if you do ended no on the left hand side, you'll see.
Okay, there are the stakes that I was more familiar with.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you had GA no, you see how many more are out there that are.
Yep. So 1.8 million TShares still seemingly owned by the OA.
Yes, sir.
I would like to see that number go as high as possible.
That is an interesting theory we've talked about before, right? And it may be. There are some arguments to be made that the OA staking would be good for the community. There's an argument to be made, particularly when we have a split. The fork. That might be good timing for that. And then there are some arguments for do nothing. So,
yeah, I could see it either way. I just think that, I think that if you reduce the payout per TShare for people who are not the OA, then it brings the APY down. You can attract more users because people right now feel like the APY is scammy to be so high. Like people are saying 10% is too high, in like with Nexo being the next centralized exchange to fail. People, of course, can understand if they dig into Hex that it's like paying Bitcoin miners to hold the price up. But my guess is that you probably don't have to pay stakers as much to hold the price up. Like people would do it anyway. And people who believe in it, it would basically, you could have some economic levers that could be pulled there. But then, what are the OA has done things before that the community hated at first, but then appreciated. I think that, where you're at in a bear or a bull market matters. But if I was the OA, I might consider, lowering the APY by staking my Hex, and that could transfer more buy pressure into the price, instead of just overpaying people who have staked. And I'm one of the people who have staked, and so I'm kind of talking against my own bag in a way. But at the end of the day, if you attract more users, or if you don't pay so much inflation, then you have a higher price. And so it's I think people misunderstand my argument as being bad for OGs. And it's not that simple because there are so many layers to it.
Yep, right there with you.
Cool.
All right, that's probably enough for tonight on this stuff, huh?
Yeah, well, that's a lot of really, really good stuff there. So thank
unless
you.
somebody has a specific question or you have a question.
Well, I think this is something that I'll have to think about more deeply and play around with to filter out. Especially, I'm interested in what people have paid to get into their stakes, especially like stakes that are going to be ending soon that are big, and I think just understanding that a little bit better. I also want to understand better what the inflation rate is compared to what users hold. Because that's the part I don't understand as deeply as everything else.
So can you restate your question? What you mean?
So like, so it's like you can't. So it's Hex inflates at 3.69%.
It does.
Yep. But of what goes to the user controlled participants is much higher. Because the OA is, because the OA is not staking. So only
Well,
10%
yeah,
of people are staking. So you're getting 36% if you stake on average for the average length. But even if you're only staking for a year, you're getting like 10%.
right. But that shows up in your ROI or APR or APY, right? Whichever term you want to see it. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Some of it is obviously getting pushed into the future, because
Yeah, and but also like now is the future. And so
yeah,
I want to understand better, like, if somebody is sitting on 1,000x stake, well, a stake that appreciated 1,000x, and then how much inflation is that bringing into the system compared to, because there's a lot of the liquid hex that's out there, some of it could be lost.
yeah.
It could be in strong hands that, well, but why would somebody have liquid hex? If they really understand hex, they would stake it if they're not playing a really short-term game, which many people are playing many games. And, many of us, who are even living off of our airdrops and our crypto investments and everything, is like, you have a little bit liquid and you have a lot staked. And so it's curious to me, like, knowing that very few, maybe like one or two cryptos ever, or almost no cryptos have ever had a new all-time high against Bitcoin in a subsequent cycle. Makes me curious, even if we call the all-time high of Hex like 40 cents or 45 cents or something, like whether that's even possible given the high APY that's being paid right now.
Yeah, you probably have to do detailed analysis on each one. I mean, I do have the cost of Hex at the day of, and the current value to kind of give you that. But to really know behind the scenes on each of those, you'd have to actually go look at the stake. But let me show you something that will help you probably right now. If you go to the advanced analytics panel, you're going to see the ROI and APY tables on the right. Now this one, again, if you see something you need done differently, ask. And all the data is available. Pretty much once I free the data and normalize it, yeah, I can make all sorts of little changes pretty easily. So what I chose to do here was to say, okay, you guys want to, because I'm really trying to encourage people to ladder stake. Now, granted, you do what you want to do, right? But it's just obvious that the amount of cost to do serial staking is very high, unless you have a purpose behind doing that. There's a loss.
You mean serial as in like rolling?
Yeah. So, I can do a 1-day stake, right? And then restake, 1-day stake. While I lose a day in between, I pay extra gas. I get less TShares. So my yield is lower, blah, blah, blah. So it's obviously not the best decision. But, sometimes people are going to do different things, right? A different strategy. And if you're looking for that, you might be better off, delaying your satisfaction for a month. A day is like a weird example, but
Sure.
you might be better off delaying satisfaction for a year, for instance, and do a monthly end from now on, right? Because this way everything gets the year. And so what this shows you here is you can go through and look at, okay, in the last 7 days, these are stakes that actually ended. What did they pay? So a guy staked for 2 days, he got 0.05% return on investment. That was a annualized rate of 9.1%, and yes, you'll see them go up and down because depending on when you actually were staked, right? You either, this was a point that Toby made earlier, you might miss on a really good payout day,
Yeah.
right? But if you're in, you'll get it further. But when you go through this, you can actually see what does a 30-day stake pay. You know,
Wow.
and then the reverse on the right hand, you go down a little bit, go down to 30, it's fine. Yeah, right there. And you see we don't have one that ended necessarily that I picked up on. But you can see all the different ones and what they're paying. And the further out you go, you're getting a higher APY.
Cool. Look at
And
that.
so
Yeah, it
so it's
breaks
a
it
little,
down
yeah, it's a
with
little
real
tool.
examples.
Yeah, it's a little tool because you see what's going on, and then you can see the projected on the right. So today, if you look at like 30, it'll tell you what the projection is for a 30-day stake should have on the list. Give you an idea of what it pays. So that's come down quite a bit over the years.
Yeah.
It's funny that I can even say years now. I can say that it's not like a couple years, it's 3 years, it's years there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can pick that way and look at it. Then there's a chart button up on the top right for those who want to see this in chart form. I think some people like to look at differently, but this kind of feeds into what you're talking about a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to understand, what somebody's going to be experiencing when they're staking versus holding liquid. And then this is just a different way to look at it. And you can do stake day drop down at the top. Right now it's at 90, and it's just showing you the APY and the return on investment.
Cool. Yeah, that's
You
really
can
nice.
you can mess around
Wow.
with the sliders a little bit and adjust that, to make it look prettier for you. But it's just giving you an idea of what it is that people are actually experiencing in the system. And so a 30-day staker since January 21, which is 2 years now almost, right? They have gone down from 13%, to 9.6. And so that means now for them, if they've got millions that they're rolling, they're perfectly happy doing that. And they're happy that the rest of us get an opportunity for bigger APY and return on investment. And that's fine. But if they were trying to maximize, and maybe that wasn't the right strategy if they were just going month to month to month to month. Again, it gets back to Richard's comments about bladdering, making the most sense.
Well, and there, I always go back to this really interesting idea that, maybe it's okay if, people are getting paid more now and they're dumping more on the market and the price is going down, because then, at some point all the right mechanics are going to kick back in. And so,
Sure. Well, I'm as much as fault as anybody else. I look at things through my lens. And so anybody listen, I don't mean to do it this way, but I'm thinking about me and my staking mostly, right? And so I color everything I say by the way I say it. There's nothing wrong with doing whatever you want to do. It's immutable. Do whatever you want to do. In fact, I can't even guess. I can't even make the assumption that just because somebody staked for 30 days, they made a mistake. Maybe it's a one-off. Maybe it's whatever. But what's cool about this protocol, and again, this kind of goes back to why it'd be really neat for someone to do some research papers on this, some of the colleges,
Yeah.
is that, dude, you can do anything with this. Like it serves so many different needs. You want to be extremely long risk taker, you got 15 years. You want to make 1%, in whichever time frame, or you want to make 1% yield in a month or in 34 days, there you go. I mean, where do I even, I get that there's risk. You got to understand that it's crypto and you got to understand what you're doing, but where can I go put I don't have 100,000 cash, but where can I go put $100,000 in and in 30 days get 100,001 back? Nowhere. Right. So there's some like real yield. And so when people like Funding Jim and some of the other people are talking finances and about seeking yield, it's real. Like, you know, the more this system gets built up and has backing, why wouldn't people utilize it? You know? Well, anyways.
Well, it's people who believe in crypto who are gonna be able to stomach the dollar price volatility that would, you know, make. I mean, you know, the idea of getting yield is usually thought of in dollar terms, which is very unpredictable in this system. However, if you believe in crypto, if you believe in Bitcoin, if you believe in HEX,
I know.
this is where it makes sense to be holding your own keys, to be you know, benefiting from from the impatience of others at the end of the day. I mean, I use that for Time Pays Me, but for HEX, it's the same story of who's playing a long-term game, who's playing a short-term game, and who's in between. People can get left behind quickly, like when Johnny Chaos was trading HEX in between 1 and 2 Satoshis, and people can get left behind in slow motion that plays out right before their eyes. And it's you know, it's the I asked on Twitter just today, I asked who's buying TShares right now. When's the last time you bought a TShare? And I just love like watching the engagement of people who are still here in the middle of the bear market, you know, and they're answering questions about, you know, what it feels like to them. So I said, smash the likes if you know there's no feeling like sending money to your future self. How would you describe it? For me, it hurts so good. And it literally does hurt me physically and emotionally when I send large amounts of money to my future self. And, you know, I can then thank myself later. So people here, you know, lots of people we see in the chat here on the YouTube live streams, but, you know, Cassius Bridges, 401k on steroids. People saying it's more rewarding than instant gratification. I know my family and I will be set in the future. A little bit like falling in love, excitement tingles. It's like I'm making sure my family is going to win the lottery many times, the lottery and even more. Feels like getting rich slow. My children will be very happy. And then somebody said, you should send your future self some donations in case you need a lawyer. And I gave that a +1 because that was the funniest comment I saw.
It's kind of funny, isn't it?
That's also true. And then I asked here, like, when's the last time you got more TShares? And it's just fun to go through and see like all these, you know, who's here getting TShares, and the people who are responding are all saying within the past week, within the past month, a couple of hours ago, last week, baby, yesterday, sir. I mean, look at this. It's just, It's really amazing.
22 hours ago for me.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very addictive. You know, I joked around with you about this. Now, nobody's going to think it's funny now, but you did the sudden wealth syndrome, right? But you know, you're going to have to address the other side of this, right? So let's forget about all the people who don't believe in staking. Let's forget about the people who are kind of like in the middle. So about the people who are like really hardcore staking and they've been doing it for 3 years. You're gonna need to talk them off the ledge at some point.
They take some gains.
Yeah, they're gonna need to be able to. You know, it's a real thing when we go back into a bull market over the next year or two. It's gonna be a real thing that fear of selling is an issue.
Yes,
and that's not related just to us. You know,
you and I think can relate to that, and probably. Probably if people thought deeply enough about different broadcasters, they could think about which ones, you know, we're practicing what they preach, being very enthusiastic along with the audience. And like, you know, it's one way to play the game for sure. And it's every person's journey in crypto is different. People have been through different amounts of bear and bull markets. People are in different stages of their lives and all kinds of things.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a balance, right? I mean, even forget about crypto for a second, right? I think we've all heard the stories about, the janitor or the school teacher, widower, passes at 70, 80 years old and leaves $3 million to somebody, right? And everyone's like, well, that guy lived at the corner in like a dull house. And he walked everywhere, didn't do anything with his money. Well, because it kind of like set in a way, how they did it. Now, was that good choice, bad choice? Doesn't really matter. But when people get set into like a frugal mindset or a delayed gratification mindset, that really is a barrier, and it's hard to do that. To shift gears because you have to focus so hard on delayed gratification for so
Yes.
long that now you have to tell yourself it's okay, to like do the reverse.
Yeah.
It's like a complete reverse.
Yeah. There are two separate behaviors that have a lot of different psychology that go along with them, being long-term minded versus, finally taking some gratification. And I think like one particularly interesting case study for me is just what we've seen Richard Hart share publicly. Is an interesting case of like extreme delaying gratification. Now, we don't know exactly what his finances have been, but we know that he was buying Bitcoin at $30, held it through a 99% crash all the way down to $1, presumably held through that, and then held through many X's up. That's really incredible. And Richard says that he never even bought a brand new car until this past bull market in 2021.
Yeah.
And it still seems like he's very conscientious about he cares about the efficiency of his capital deployment. People have heard him say a lot of times that he doesn't just want to waste money paying middlemen for advertising and stuff. He would rather take more advanced approaches, and I think in a lot of different areas that's a really interesting psychology of a crypto billionaire who had to delay gratification to become a crypto billionaire, and now what?
Mm-hmm.
So I think people see him, just to finish this last thought that I have is people see him as like just wasting money because he's buying $10,000 outfits, but the amount of marketing value that has is worth probably $100,000, and so he's actually still being
Yeah, that argument's so old and silly at this point. I mean, the guy told us before he did it why he was going to do it, and then he did it, and he's doing it, and he continues to tell us why he's doing it. I just all the time we watched him before, he's just I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that based on what I had seen previously, other than the throne and the Caballero, I mean, what was he doing? He was wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and a top hat, and the top hat wasn't that expensive, I'm sure. And so, anyways, yeah. But I mean, yeah, he's pretty frugal, and I think some of the lessons he's shared about his own life and things, I think I found are true. I mean, there are, and everybody has this at some level. There are certain levels where, at some point, it doesn't matter how much more you don't need it anymore. We all want to be there. We all want to exceed that. Maybe yes, I could spend $1 billion like Brewster's Millions or something, but the hell am I going to spend it on? Now I'm not one of those guys. I'd like to have just enough would be pretty good, or a little bit of cushion. But I get his points on that.
I think that there's alpha here too in what we're saying, because when I think about how to design Time Pays Me and how, whether I will take a profit or not, actually. And I've gone to all extremes on that. I've gone to like, well, what if I took 0.5%? What if I took nothing? And it's like, it's really interesting to me. And I really think that one of the kind of best things that people can do for sudden wealth syndrome is to like take, kind of slow it down a little bit. And that I think a lot of times people end up getting owned by the things that they own. And so it'll be really interesting to me to kind of see how that game theory plays out in kind of my own opportunities and challenges, I'd say. It'll be interesting because it is a different game if there's no right. If there's no like negative externalities, that's actually really, it seems like it'd be a really positive thing. But then like, if you don't have a little bit of grease to grease the government or something, then they can just lock you up and throw away the key or something. And, there are all these like probably extreme nuances to like, to actually having the right game mechanics of a crypto to, to be still thriving in many years from now. And that's kind of, we've got a group of people in the Hexkin community that are all long-term thinkers. And I mean, even on the stream earlier tonight, people were throwing out ideas that seem really valuable. So it's exciting to kind of wade through it all.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we got plenty of ideas. Yeah. This is a topic I'm not saying anything more about because I'll just keep going. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to come back to it when we're not 3 hours in. We got Hopperman in the chat.
I don't know if it's the same Hopper. Might be.
Oh, okay.
Might be.
And then Cole is saying, I joke calling myself the homeless millionaire. There you go. So yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. ChrispyMan, did you have any other points to hit before we sign off?
No, I think everybody, hey, we're all living through the bear together.
That's right.
Just keep it together. Keep your eye on the goal. It's almost over. It's almost over, I bet. So.
Yeah, it'll be, it's an opportunity, it seems like, to be down this much across the all of crypto. It's exciting times. So we got Hodl Dog hopping on the screen to shill his job at McDonald's. That's always fun.
I like some fries.
Yeah. So let's see. Hit the like and subscribe button. Share this out. I will be back on Thursday for Hex Therapy Live, and then Friday is going to be the 12-hour stream for the third Hex birthday. And so I hope if you have a YouTube channel out there, make sure to DM me on Twitter if I follow you, or call me out on Twitter, and I can get you the link so you can join the stream. We want to get all the different people who are in the Hex broadcasting arena to drop by on the stream.
You don't have enough hours, right, for that.
Don't have enough hours.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, there's like, there's like 125 people, 200 people.
Well, the SEC scared off like 3 people, and then, but maybe we got 3 more just from getting the word out. So yeah, you're right. We don't have enough space for everybody. So FOMO into the stream.
FOMO in.
Go to the landing page. It would be really fun to get a bunch of likes before the stream even starts, so you can show your support that way. The link, I think, is in the description here on YouTube. You can also check out hexfire.io in the link in the description, links below, or just type it into your browser. Might be faster. The KSB TV, Abed and Patrick, and everybody going to their meetup will might get a chance to hop on the stream as well, because I will be covering, just like I did last year, I'll be covering the meetup. I'll be doing it remotely, but the guys have agreed to go ahead and stream in multiple times throughout the day. So it's going to be starting on Friday at 10 a.m. Central, which is 11 a.m. Eastern, and it is 8 a.m. on the West Coast. So yeah, until next time, everybody, stake wisely, my friends.
Stake wisely.
And peace out.
Peace.